Oof and
All right.
OG.
Yeah,
Okay.
looks like we are live. So, hey, and we have
Hey,
our Carl. Carl is back.
yes, I'm
Yeah,
back.
it only took you 4 days to get here to the live.
I I had all intentions on coming last Saturday, but
Yeah.
my my jet lag was not cooperative. So sometimes I'm sort of flagging at the end of our sessions, even though I don't have jet lag. And this time I was flagging before, so uh,
Yeah.
I excused myself, and I'm here today to apologize profusely to everybody and to make up for it with exceptionally witty comments. So,
There you go. There you go. And yeah, that jet lag will do it, won't it? It's bad stuff. Oh, Mr. Chuckles, how you doing? Good evening, morning.
hey,
Okay, I think Mr. Chuckles is out on the West Coast somewhere in the U.S. We'll hang
okay.
out for a little bit, see how who else shows up. People come moseying in. Oh, you got a big jump in there. So, yeah, last time I put all this stuff up on the
Yeah,
um, live stream live stream. I don't
right.
know announcement. Carl's coming. Carl.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah,
So
I think
everybody.
I saw the title of the video is like "The Carl is back" or something like that, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
it's an article. It's just one word, but it's like I somehow I felt honored by having the in front of my name, so
Yeah, the one
I
and only, right?
I felt proper. No,
Yeah, there you
proper
go.
noun.
Okay, we got
So
greetings from Oregon. Hey, how you doing, Oregon? Seattle. Wow. Seattle's Mr. Chuckles. Yeah, World Cup. All right. Yeah, they're going to have the World Cup coming in there. Have they finally settled down there? I heard that the federal government was getting a little bit irritated with Seattle, and they were saying, "Well,
mhm.
we're gonna pull all of the inspectors out of the international airport there, and you can fend for yourself." So I hope they got that settled. Yeah,
I,
because
I'm more of a I'm more of a basketball fan. So right now it's the middle of the NBA finals between the Spurs and the Knicks, and that's
mm,
shaping up to be a pretty exciting one. And I know that the World Cup is like whatever the Summer Olympics is, it's 2 years off of that. So this
mm,
makes sense that this is the year. But I had no idea that the U.S. was hosting the
yep,
World Cup. So it's being
yeah,
hosted in Seattle this year. Is that the deal?
yeah. I think so. If Mr. Chuckles can chime in, I think yeah, it's being held in Seattle, and
And
mhm.
does the U.S. get like as the host country, they get automatic seed in the tournament? Because like the
Yeah.
U.S. For me growing up, the U.S. was not a soccer superpower by any stretch of
No,
the imagination.
no. Well, they used to have I don't know if they maybe still do, but they used to have a pro league in the U.S.
Hmm.
that was kind of successful, but I don't think that they're around much anymore. So I guess they weren't that successful. But
Yeah.
yeah. So Mr. Chuckles says, yeah, that was Trump posturing. He'd actually never. Yeah, that's what I thought when I heard it. There was some posturing, and he was saying, well, you don't want ice there. You can do without the people who check the stuff in the international airport. And it made news for a couple days and then disappeared. So Mr. Chuckles says corrects there. The World Cup is in 13 different cities. So I guess the U.S. is the host country, and they spread it around. Okay.
Hmm. I remember in Japan co-hosted the World Cup in I want to say around 2002 with
Yeah.
South
Yeah,
Korea.
something like that.
So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
the first time that I remember the World Cup being hosted by multiple countries. But
Mm,
I guess
mm,
makes sense from North American World Cup. Sure, why not?
mm, mm. And from Mexico City up to Vancouver, also the whole continent, not the country,
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah,
North America.
that's what my
Yeah,
comment was referring to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, because we know that these major world sports events can put a lot of pressure onto a city. And this way it
Hmm.
sort of like spreads it out. Makes sense. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. Cool. Well, in that regard, you mentioned okay. Well, I'm not going to go into the news. We got news right in front of me. What am I talking about? So,
Yeah.
Carl spent how long back in the good old USA?
I I think 2 weeks and 3 weekends. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know, 17 days or something like that.
And
And
how long?
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, how long
Uh,
had it been?
2 years. So last
Mm-hmm.
time I was back was in 2024. So
Uh-huh.
um, yeah, you know, and the time before that was about 8 years ago. So I think I've been back 4 times in the last 10 years.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, so as I was just telling Ed just now, it sounds silly, but like I was impressed by things that stayed the same and things that changed.
Mm.
Hey, Tokyo Dano, thanks. Um, but like I guess for the people living there, then change is gradual. But for me, it's like, oh, that thing that used to be there, that's gone. Um, and then that other. Actually went to a funeral when I was back in the States, and I went to the church where I was catechized uh, 40 years ago, I guess. And it looked exactly the same. So I was sort of experiencing. Obviously, the pastor was different, but I was experiencing deja vu. So that was yeah. So my whole trip was a combination of deja vu and disorientation because things had changed. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
I guess one thing was like everything was so expensive and people didn't really care. Um, like everybody was spending money like it was water. Was my feeling coming from Japan. So
Mm. Mm. Well,
so
I was looking at a YouTube video recently, and people were talking about the cost of living in the U.S.
mhm.
And the person I forgot where it was, might have been on the West Coast, but they were saying, yeah, it used to be a time $100,000 a year was pretty good income, but now, I mean, they said you're not poverty or anything like that. You can still live basically pretty well, but
Mhm.
$100,000 a year is basically not that much these days. How about in Michigan?
Whereas in uh yeah, I mean I'm sure there's plenty of people who earn lots more than that and plenty of people who earn lots less than that.
Hmm.
But I think I heard so recently a Japanese friend looked up the average American income, and his AI told him it was like 9 million yen, which I think comes out to about $60,000. So presumably that's per working person. So 100,000, based on a national average, if that statistic is correct, it's still high, but you're not like rolling it. You're not like, living the life of luxury for 100,000, at least not in most cities. So,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, Shred Edward, how you doing, Edward? That's why I hate going back to the States. Mostly it's the people who have changed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Did you feel that? Have the people changed much?
I, I stayed with my brother, and I stayed home or I went to work with him or I went to family related things. I didn't go out on the town and meet old friends and stuff like that. I mean, everybody's gotten older. Um, uh, it didn't feel that different. Um,
Mm.
just
Mm.
everybody's older now. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
what what about you, Ed? Have you been back anytime in the last decade?
No, the last time I went was just before COVID,
Hmm.
and that was to see my darling mother, and it was good timing because um, right after that the country closed because of COVID, and I'm glad I didn't get stuck over there. And the thing that
Yep.
struck me the most in the U.S. was the TV commercials, all the
Hmm.
prescription medicine. It seemed
Hmm.
like at that time every other commercial was a prescription. Tell your doctor you want so and so. Which to me,
Hmm.
in my day, you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you what you need. You don't tell your doctor, I need this, right? And I was, to tell you the truth, I was shocked at that. I had a medical thing many years ago. And so I got online and joined a group where people were talking, people had the same problem and they were talking about
Mhm.
it and I was really surprised at how antagonistic people were towards their doctors. Oh, my doctor said I needed to do this, but I fired my doctor and I told it, and they argue with their doctor and push back and get a lot of online advice and use that to fight against their doctor's advice. And I was pretty surprised about that. Maybe it's normal, but
Well, I have a lifelong disease that I have to
um,
manage, and I go to the doctor like once a month or something like that. And I can appreciate. I mean, I could talk this whole time about my opinion about the medical system, but it feels like so like in the States compared with Japan. When people ask me, I say rule of thumb is it's going to cost 10 times more in the States than it costs in Japan. So if a drug X costs $10 a pill here, it's probably going to cost $100 a pill in the States. Um, there's uh, have you talked about the medical system in Japan in previous videos? You must have.
not
I,
really, not in depth. Yeah.
okay, but
Mm.
I think so. There are things that people complain about the Japanese medical system, but I think in general, uh, if language isn't a barrier, I think that people in general are fairly happy with the Japanese medical system.
Mm.
Whereas in the
Mm.
States, it can bankrupt you. If like my brother's daughter feels ill and she has to go to emergency care, and they're like, "Nothing wrong with you, $3,000, please," or something like that. It's like that's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. In
Mm.
Japan, like whenever I tell those stories to my Japanese friends, they're like, "How do people live?" So,
Mm. Mm.
so the fact that it costs so much, and then the doctors want to just get you through as fast as possible, I think
Mm.
those two things are things that make people in the United States frustrated with the medical system. I don't
Yeah.
think there are many people, unless they have like fantastic insurance. I don't think there are many people in the U.S. who are completely satisfied with the medical system overall in the states.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
those commercials that you said, those are that's the drug companies trying to maximize their profits, because if there's a conversation and the person says I want this, and the doctor's like, well, you could have it or you couldn't have it, and if they're persistent, it's like, okay, I'm just going to give it to him, get him out of here, and it was his decision, or he asked for it. So
Mm.
yeah, anyway, I think the joke is, in the States, the most important question in the doctor's minds is, who's going to pay for my yacht?
Yeah. Yeah. They
So
do. Do they make doctors are still paid very well in the U.S.? I
again,
mean,
I think they probably make 10 times more than doctors in Japan.
oh, really?
Um,
Oh,
so what did we just say? We said it's maybe somebody could quick look up a statistic, but I think starting salary for doctors in the States is probably in the multiple, like maybe like 200,000 or something like that.
uh-huh.
That's a guess.
Uh-huh.
So,
Okay.
um, I mean, we can't live without the medical system, and
Oh,
I do appreciate it's finding the right doctor is an important thing. So
okay. Okay. Mr. Chuckle says that the average household income, I guess, in the U.S. is 67.5, whereas the median income for individuals is 35,000.
that
Okay.
that seems that seems. I mean, you know, the people I know make more than that,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that it's representative of the actual
Yeah.
average or median. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that seems awfully low.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, the average is skewed because of the very ultra uber high income earners. So,
Yeah, that's why he has average and median listed
yeah,
separately there.
right, right. And yeah. And It's pretty striking, isn't it? Okay. Shred Edwards says he's from California and it's a very different vibe, very divided politically, which wasn't a thing when he left. Yeah, it certainly is. They're having that election over there in LA that's causing a lot of raised eyebrows, but we don't want to go into American politics too much, but the overnight surge in ballots going, I don't want it, like I said, it's so screwed up over there that you could talk forever and get into all kinds of arguments.
I, I I don't think anybody will argue that in the last, I want to say it goes back to the Tea Party, in the 2000s, with it's like, we will not compromise, we will not negotiate, it must be our way or we block everything. So politics has been polarized in the States for maybe like sort of since the internet caught on, like for the last 20 years, and it just seems like it's been getting more and more polarized.
Yeah. I remember back when I was a kid, I didn't pay much attention to politics, but just listening to the adults around me talk about it, it wasn't like that. It wasn't, I mean, I'm sure there were some people, but where I grew up, nobody was really hardcore Republican or hardcore Democrat. They would really look at the candidates who were running and say, oh, which one sounds good or aligned with what they are thinking, and they'd vote for that candidate, and it wouldn't matter. And there was none of this blue no matter who, or better red than dead, or whatever, stuff.
Better dead than red, or something.
Yeah, something like that. There must be something. But anyway, it was election by election, and I'm surprised that it's so polarized. I don't know if polarized is the correct word, but dogmatic, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Where
it's like they want you to like remove critical thinking from your process and just like, okay, I'm on team X or I'm on team Y, and like the individual opinions or individual issues are like unimportant. So
yeah. Okay, Ednoy, 100% Carl. Okay. All right. We can live without doctors, but we can't live without pharmacists. They seem to know more than doctors. Okay. I don't know. That's probably a U.S. or go ahead.
Well, actually, so the difference between pharmacists in Japan and the pharmacists in the States is quite interesting. Do you remember the pharmacists in the States? Did you ever go? Do you know the difference of what it's like to go pick up a drug in the States versus in Japan?
Me? You're asking me?
Yeah.
Well, I can. Well, when I left the States, I was young and healthy, so I never had much to do with pharmacists back then. But I remember,
Sure.
the Walgreens and stuff like that, and going there with my parents sometimes. And then, of course, I was in the military, and you don't deal with pharmacists there. So most of my pharmacist dealings have been in Japan, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
On the one hand, in the States, you can get refills, whereas in Japan, like, you have to go to the doctor again if you want more of the same drug. Even if you're like, let's say you're on a statin to lower your cholesterol and you're on it for the next 30 years, I think you still have to keep going back to the doctor.
Yeah.
But in Japan, one of the big differences is when you go up to the counter at the pharmacy, the pharmacist will actually, I think it's part of their job description is to have like a conversation to make sure that you're taking your medicine, that you don't have questions, that you don't have drug interactions. And I think in the States, it's like, got any questions? No, here's your medicine. So like in Japan, it's so, I mean, you could argue that, well, you don't really need it, but I think there's a bit more hand-holding in Japan than there is in the States when they give you your medicines.
That actually took, I want to say shocked, but the first time that it happened when you go to a pharmacist and they start asking you all these questions, you know. So you catch a cold and you go to the doctor and you get this prescription. You go to the pharmacy and you wait while they, I don't know, do something. But then
Sure.
they call your number and you go up and they say, oh, oh, you have a cold, oh, you have a runny nose, and they start asking these relatively invasive questions, right? That you feel.
Mhm.
The first feeling is, what's it to you? Give me my medicine. But like everything else in Japan, you get used to it after a while, and so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess if you just want to get your drugs and go on your way, then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, fine. Let me go.
Yeah. What I don't like, I don't know if it's the same in the States, but the wait time at the pharmacy. It usually takes a bit of time for them to fill a prescription. I don't know if they're being super careful or what, but it seems like they've got a lot of people back there jumping around, but they sure take a long time to me. Is it the same in the States? I wonder. At the
Well, I think
pharmacy.
in both countries there are ways that you can speed up the waiting time. So, for example, in Japan, some pharmacies have a system where you can take a picture of your prescription with an app and then send that ahead. And then when you get there, it's already ready. And I think in the States, then a lot of times the doctor will call the prescription in. So it's there for you to pick up. So hang on, something's going on
Okay.
over here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
So yeah. So nobody likes to wait. And then there's some drugs in Japan, like for example, there's one drug that I take that they have to split the pill in half, and then in order to do that, they put it in a little plastic bag.
Oh
And
yeah.
so you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So like sometimes they'll do it like for people who get confused. They're like, oh, just put it like a day by day thing, so that they like the Monday morning it's this one, Monday afternoon is this one, Monday night is this one, and they can do that for all your medicine. But that takes a long time, so you have to wait extra. So I don't like waiting extra.
Well, this pharmacy thing that they have, especially these attached pharmacies to the doctors and stuff like that. That's that is something that was implemented after I was here. When I first got here, doctors dispensed medicine directly.
Yep. I remember the two.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
So you would go there and the doctors would liberally dispense medicine. They'd give you a lot of it.
They get more money. Yeah.
Yeah, right. They would get a commission. So you would leave the doctor. You always had this big plastic bag bulging with medicines and things that you had to take. But there was some abuse connected to that, so they cut that out. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, there's a couple of things. So I think that like if they prescribe you brand instead of generic, then that's a higher cost, and then that's more, I'm not 100% sure, but it would make sense that that's more profit for them if they get like a certain percentage. And then the other interesting thing is I heard, and I heard it and it seemed reliable, but doctors take a little while to ramp up their career, whereas pharmacists tend to, I guess, peak early, and so apparently typically doctors would marry pharmacists, and then so the pharmacists would be ladies, and so then the pharmacist would work in the pharmacy in the doctor's office as one, not set in stone, but it's a typical pattern. So a lot of times it's husband and wife, and they've got you covered on both ends.
Oh, okay. Well, even now, I think there's. I can't say that I'm for sure, but there seems to be some kind of connection, or weak between pharmacies, because the one clinic that I go to, it's up on the 7th floor of this building, and the doctor is here, and you cross the hallway, and there's a pharmacy. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's something going on there,
I think around, so because like you said, I remember when you used to get the drugs in the, after you've finished with the doctor and your blood tests and so forth, then you go over to this other place where you get the medicine. And I think that I want to say around the year 2000, they said that's like you said, a conflict of interest, and they stopped that. But I think still there's a lot of, like you just said, there's a lot of cases where there's a pharmacy right in front of the doctor's office, and they probably stock all the medicines that clinic usually prescribes. If it's a dermatologist, or if it's a rheumatologist or something like that, then they have the medicine. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there are still clinics where, and I don't know what the difference is, but there are clinics where they let you get medicine right from the doctor's office even now. But it's rarer than it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Back to the income. Fox Stamp says Mr. Chuckles is correct. Please also notice he gave you household income versus individual income in addition to the average versus median. Okay, that was household, not individual. But 30-some thousand household, that's pretty, wow.
No, 30 was for an individual. That was the median individual.
Okay.
And then 67 was for the average household.
Okay.
Was the numbers that was quoted before. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Ed Noy says that he costs him well over $600 a month for good Medicare plan. Wow. And he says it's oppressive. Oh, $600. Yeah, that's quite a bit of money to come up with every month. My father's side of the family is very democratic, while my mother's side always have Trump flags. It's a tough road to hoe. Yeah, I guess you got to tiptoe lightly.
They say those people's Thanksgiving dinners are not the most peaceful.
Yeah. Especially with family, because, when you're with strangers or friends, you can avoid the topic thinking that it's not worth it. But with family, especially if you're older or younger, you think you've got the right to say something, Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ed Noy says, and still I get co-pays. Oh, even though he's paying $600 a month, that's quite a bit of money.
I've and people who have more familiarity with the American system, I hear that a lot of American sort of medical coverage, not Medicare or Medicaid, but you have something like, okay, for the first $8,000 of the year, you pay 100% yourself, or something like that. Whereas in Japan, that's kind of nuts. So again, there's like you have to fulfill a certain, I don't know what the word is, quota, or like you're on your own, and then after that we kick in, and that's basically just adding to the cost of the insurance. That's oppressive, to borrow Ed Noy's word.
And Mr. Chuckles says, no healthcare system is perfect. Nothing is perfect. And no system devised by humans is perfect. And as for me, I'm happy with my healthcare in America. The key is to have good insurance coverage. Yeah, that is the key. Yeah. But the insurance is another thing, right? In not only health insurance, but all kinds of insurance, even life insurance. Go ahead.
Well, there was that guy maybe a couple of years ago who he had gotten mental health care coverage, and then he was denied, and then he shot the CEO of his insurance company. Do you remember this story?
Yeah.
There's a guy in New York, I think.
Yeah.
And he was really good looking, so all the women were like, "Oh."
He's got an Italian, some kind of Italian name. Like
that sounds right. Yeah.
I don't think it's Mario, but it's something like Mario. Yeah. Yeah. They still talk about that these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People saying, "Oh, hooray for him."
Yeah. So this is part of the polarization thing, where it's like on the one side, it's like, how can you celebrate somebody shooting somebody, and then on the other hand, it's like, yeah, but he had it coming. So for people who are like, killing is bad no matter what, it's kind of hard to swallow.
Yeah. A lot of hypocrisy in the good old USA. And Huffen pines in, Nixon McGovern really is where the polarization started. That case could be made. The
Mhm.
hippie McGovernites marched in and took over the Democrats, and he says that was back in 1972.
I'm a John Denver fan. I don't listen as much as I used to, but if you listen to some of his early stuff, it's very much very political. Um, so this, and I don't remember exactly what the time frame was for that, but it sounds very much like the kind of thing that Mr. Huffin, OG, is
Uh-huh.
talking about.
Well, yeah, 1972. Okay, I guess you could say that, but it was things built up before then. The Vietnam War
Hmm.
did a lot of damage to the United States, just as COVID did a lot of damage to the to the United States and to world governments in general. And people got well, I don't have to tell, everybody knows. I don't have to go through it. But I think it was the Vietnam War was a big turning point in the US as far as people radicalizing people. All right. All right.
Hmm.
And then not to mention that damn rock and roll music, Yeah.
Country was where it's at, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm proud to be a Okie from Muskogee, right? Okay. What do we got here? AI will affect the income of general practitioners. Previously, I refused to listen to Dr. Google, but recently there are a lot of real doctors on YouTube. Okay. Um, yeah, that's I'll admit I ask AI questions sometimes. In fact, I asked it a question this morning, and it put a disclaimer in above the answer. It says we don't give medical advice. This is just for informational and stuff like that. And then the question becomes, what do you believe and what do you not believe? And the AI can give you an answer, but there are nuances here and there and stuff like that. I have one. I have a bit of a kidney problem. Not, it's not
Mhm.
killing me or anything like that, but something I got to keep an eye on. So I go to see the doctor like every 6 months, and they do blood tests and stuff like that. And I was trying to stay healthy and control my weight. So I was doing the very popular high protein diet, and it was maintaining my weight very well. So I thought, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. And I went to see the kidney doctor, and she was asking me questions, and it got around to my diet, and I was saying, "Yeah, I eat, 120 or 130 grams of protein a day, and I'm in really." And she goes, "Wow, my God, what are you doing? You're not when you got kidney problems, you dummy." So I had to modify. Come on,
What
it's. Mhm.
what did your blood test say? Did they say because the one of the problems with kidneys is you get protein in your urine,
Yeah,
and so if
yeah.
you didn't have protein in your urine, then I would think, well, what's the harm? But if you had a whole bunch of
Yeah.
protein in your urine, then that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, my blood
So,
work shows that one kidney function is not very good, and so that's what
mhm.
they keep an eye on. But I mean, you should have seen her reaction when I told her how much
Mhm.
protein I mean, her eyes lit up and she said, "Stop that," and I have. So it's going to be interesting to see what the
So
blood work does.
now you have to worry about sarcopenia. So,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
but actually the amount of protein that people should consume in a day, like the old studies was like 60 grams is enough, and but bodybuilders like, oh, I go for 300 grams a day or something like that. So that's kind of like an endless debate. Um, so anyway, uh,
Mm,
and it's also
mm.
like, are we talking about like what the average person who doesn't exercise needs versus if you're trying to bulk up for as an athlete? Anyway, I guess the short answer is listen to your doctor.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
for the most part.
I basically trust what Japanese doctors tell me. So I
Hmm.
I followed her advice and I cut my protein basically in half. So we'll see what happens.
Hmm.
There was one
Yeah.
time, quite a time ago. I like to read about this type of, and
Yeah.
you read something, you believe it, like which is the dangerous thing, like we were just talking about. And I did try the so-called carnivore diet for a while,
Okay.
and
Hmm.
it was good, man. My weight, I mean, daily the weight was going brum, brum, brum. But
Hmm.
I also experienced the so-called keto flu, and that
Hmm.
is, you go into, I guess it's pretty extreme ketosis if you just eat, you cut
Yeah.
all
No carbs. Yeah.
carb, and you feel like you've got the flu. You get a
Hmm.
one of these like band tightening headaches right about here, and you
Hmm.
start feeling bad. So I stopped doing that. I
Did
didn't. Mm.
Did you stick with it for a while, or did you? I mean, because sometimes, like, something people describes like, well, if you get over the hump, then your body adjusts, and then you're okay again.
Yeah. Well, when I was doing that, it was very much against the wishes of my charming and delightful Oksan. She
Yes.
said, cut it out. You're gonna, if you don't eat rice, you'll die, kind of thing. So I used to get it
This is
every day from
Japan.
her. Yeah.
Yes.
And so when I started feeling bad, I started feeling physically bad because of the keto flu. And of course, I was already emotionally feeling bad because of the constant, I don't want to say haranguing, but you know what I
Reminder.
mean. Reminders.
Reminder.
So I got off of that, and peace was
Sure.
restored,
So,
Yeah.
like, I was vegan for a year because I wanted to save the planet, and the reason I stopped was, well, I mean, it's easier to just eat anything. That's one thing, but also, uh, like, it was awkward to have two different things all the time. So, if your wife says you shouldn't do that, then that's something to take to heart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For daily world peace,
That,
right? Yeah,
that's been true since the Egyptians.
yeah, yeah. And
If your wife says to do something, you should do it.
I tried a vegetarian diet as well, and
Hmm.
that lasted, also a limited amount of time. I got it, I found it in a book, and I started doing it, and the first time it felt really good. And the reason I got off of it is because I had to get something, and I was in a convenience store, and it was a really strange thing. And there was this food item that was non-vegetarian, caught my eye,
Hmm.
and I had this overwhelming, uncontrollable desire to eat it. And I bought it and I ate it, and I felt really satisfied. So I thought, well, vegetarian ain't for me, I guess.
Okay.
It was pretty
That,
funny,
that
right?
was the that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Hey, hey, just joined. Ash Sasaki said, just lurking in the background while I do chores. Okay. Ash Sasaki, I think that's you, right? I got some apple pie news for you. So we'll talk about that later. Okay. Hoofin says, pop in and out. I do too. And we're happy to have both of you. Everybody who pops in and pops out is always welcome. Oh, this is still live. I'm lucky. Impressive audio. Oh, impressive name, isn't it? Yeah, I'm glad to see you here. A lot of new, not a lot of new members showing up. Hi, everybody, and hi back at you. And Alexander Rise. Okay, AI does not need to be used for anything medical. Case and point is Bixanemania. Do you
I
know what
don't know
that
what that
is?
is. No.
Okay. If you would like to save us from our ignorance, we would appreciate. So let us know. What is Bixana?
But I was going to say about AI is I think you have the same experience, and that is, like, if you don't know anything and you talk to AI, it's kind of going to tell you to a large extent, it's going to tell you what you want to hear, and then you're going to believe
Hmm,
what you want to hear.
hmm,
Um, Whereas if you have a certain amount of knowledge and you push back, and then AI says, "Oh, that changes everything completely. I just lied to you. Ignore that. Actually, it's this." So the more you know, the better the answer is that you're going to get. And so I guess the AI is the most dangerous when you don't know anything.
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing something here when I'm talking. Yeah, I saw a really cool meme, and it was a doctor, and the doctor said GPT on his thing. I might have talked about this one time.
General practitioner Tom or something.
No, it was actually Chat GPT. But anyway,
Sure.
it said that there's a guy laying in a hospital bed, and he says, "Doctor, you took out the wrong lung." And the GPT doctor is saying, "Well, that's very, sharp of you to notice," or something like that. So, yeah, it's basically.
The left lung, that changes everything completely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've had some bad. By the way, talking about, if you don't mind going off, we do this sometimes. We do talk about AI. I've been noticing more and more videos coming out about AI, saying that number one, people are revolting against it, and number two, these AI data centers that were becoming so larger and larger and expanding and things like that and being invested in, a lot of them are being canceled because they can't be done. And one other video that I saw said that if you stripped data center related investment out of the economy, the U.S. economy grew by only like 1% or something like that.
0.1%. I saw the same headline.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I guess the people complain that like there's this constant hum. They have headaches when there's a data center. And they also said that, that's going to bring all these jobs. And in actuality, it doesn't really bring that many jobs, or at least not for the locals. It brings jobs for people from other places that come to man the data centers. And then finally, I think there's massive supply shortages. So like even if a company wants to invest in a data center, the companies making the chips or all the things that you need to build a data center, it's like, well, we're out. So you just have to wait. And so all these projects are, if they're not canceled outright, they're massively delayed.
Yeah. We saw the same thing. I think that was Dagogo. Okay. We both watched Dagogo.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure. Okay. You found the connection.
Yeah. I as a matter of fact, by the way, Bixanomania is a fake disease.
Oh, okay.
Bixanomania. Fake disease. Okay. All right. One good innovation in the USA is the rise of small standalone ERs and operating rooms too. Okay. All right. I didn't know that. Outside of a major hospital, I guess. Okay.
I guess they have what is it called? Is it emergency care, or there's another name that it's on the tip of my tongue. It's like urgent care. Yeah. So I think Japan doesn't really have. Well, I mean, if you have a really high fever, then there's a system where you can get seen by a doctor. But I think urgent care is a larger part of the U.S. medical system than it is in Japan.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Probably not a good thing in my mind.
Yeah. Oh, Shred Edwards referring back to the pharmacists. They ask questions to make sure you aren't suffering from any side effects, which makes sense. Yeah, good. And like Carl called it hand holding. Sometimes hand holding is nice. It's not It's not
Yep.
intrusive. Okay. Right. Tokyo Dano, impressive audio. Tokyo Dano is a big high-res music fan. That's why he asked that. So that looks like a side discussion. So
My
yeah.
ears are low res now, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan, like he buys really expensive headphones and stuff like that to enjoy his
Okay.
audio. Okay. Just went online today to refill a prescription and selected a time to pick it up. Sometimes you might have to wait a little bit if they're super busy. That's back in the USA, of course. Yeah, that
Mhm.
must be nice to get it. I saw in Japan too, they started online doctors. You can
Mhm.
consult with a doctor online, and the doctor can also prescribe medicine online. And I don't know if it's pickup or
Mhm.
delivery, but that Japan seems to be moving in that direction as well. Yeah, though
I think
I've never used it.
for something like, again, it's the same example, like blood pressure medicine or a statin that you're on basically for life. As long as there's no, they could ask you some simple questions. Any changes? No. Okay, here's another 3 months.
Yeah.
That seems efficient for everybody, especially. So I'm like a heavy user of the medical system, and it feels to me like lately the average age of the people, not only the doctors, but like the people working in the clinics and so forth, is going up faster than my age. So, 30 years ago, there were young people working in doctors' offices. Now it feels like everybody working in doctors' offices is older. So I
Mm,
think that in the not too distant future, Japan is going to have a problem with not enough qualified, medical staff.
mm,
And I don't know what the plans. I guess if you start giving people drugs over the phone instead of seeing them in person, that helps with their bandwidth issues. But
mm,
uh,
mm.
I'm curious to know how Japan is going to adapt in the future for that.
I'm also taking some medicine that I have to get refills on, and they'll only
Hmm.
issue 2 months worth. And I got them originally from a regular doctor. And this was when I say regular doctor, in Japan, regular doctor, I mean one of these places where you go in and you sit down and you spend at least a half a day waiting to see the doctor. And when I first couple times I went for refills, you spend half a day waiting there. You get to see the doctor. I came here for a refill. Yeah, everything okay? No, yeah, okay, okay, and gives you the prescription, and you're ready to go.
Hmm.
And then I found a clinic where I could do the same thing, but the wait time is much shorter. So if I could find a way
Hmm.
to do it online where there's little wait time, I would probably do that. So it makes
So
more
so
sense.
I go to a university hospital, which are notorious for super long wait times and really hard to schedule a follow-up appointment and so forth, or to change an appointment. But sometimes I see other patients going to the reception of the department, and sometimes they'll say something like, "Oh, just a refill," or something like that. And then I think that sometimes you can go to a doctor, and if it's just a refill, they can tell that to the doctor, and the doctor does something, and then you get your refill without having to wait to have a 10-second conversation with the doctor.
Oh, really?
I don't know if other people have similar experience, but I think I don't know if it's like secret policy or if this is official policy, but I'm quite sure that sometimes if you're just going for a refill, you don't have to wait in line for everybody. They sort of fast track you
Okay.
uh, through
All
the
right.
through the line. So you might ask in the future if it's something simple like that.
Okay. All right. Might check that out. Good. Gaijin Guru says Australia has the best medical system. You pay 2% of taxable income as a medical levy. This entitles you to free or minimal cost doctor's appointments. You get free access to public hospitals. Oh, okay. That must, I wonder. Go ahead.
So I know a pharmacist who's married to a doctor in Australia, And from what I heard is there's kind of like two medical systems in Australia. There's one is like the quote unquote public system, and then there's the private system. And I guess, uh, yeah, I don't, I've never been to Australia. I don't know any details, but I heard that there's basically two systems, and one is cheaper and one is like, if you have the money, quote unquote, better. I'd be curious to hear if Gaijin Guru had anything to say
Yeah.
about that.
Mm, yeah. Okay. I know I am totally ignorant, so
I have heard from a German friend as well that in Germany they have two systems, which is basically kind of like what I just described about Australia. So like if you have money, you can go for the one where basically you get maximal access, but you have to pay. And the other one is free, but then your access might not be as good as you would like it to be.
okay. All right. Okay. Short Edward, my wife is a professor in a medical university, and she gets flown all over the world to attend conferences where drug manufacturers try to convince her to push their wares. Oh, yeah, those drug
It,
companies.
if you look at doctors making presentations at conferences, I think they have to include their quote unquote disclosures. And usually it'll be, and here are my disclosures, and then they go to the next slide like within a millisecond, I think. So they have to put them in there, but they don't like make a big deal about it.
Oh, hi. Okay. Oh, Impressive Audio 5027 just kindly sent us a super sticker. Okay, thank
Oh,
you very
very
much.
nice.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that a
very nice
raccoon
of
or
you.
is that a tanuki?
What a raccoon or
Oh
a
no,
ton?
oh I I see some sort of, yeah. I'm probably just delusional. Never mind.
Yeah,
But
it
thank
might
you.
be
Wow,
obviously something. Yeah, mm.
that's very generous.
20,
You're
20,
gonna have to buy
20.
me a beer.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we go out and celebrate later. Oh, when we
Yes.
can have our when we have our meeting. I forgot to give you
Mhm.
the big welcome back.
Oh,
The
thank you.
chicken. So yeah, you and Tokyo Dano and I have to get together and choose the winner of the name the chicken thing. So
Okay.
there's that
I
too.
was
So mhm.
I was AWOL for a month, so I was wondering like had the chicken been named, but
No,
you just answered the question.
no, he's still a nameless chicken because of you.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know. So
So you know the famous novel Waga Hai wa Tori de Aru? Namae wa Mada Nai?
yeah, Natsume Soseki, wasn't it?
Right.
All right. Okay. Thank you again, Impressive Audio. That's an impressive sticker you got there. Yeah, this drug manufacturer is trying to bribe doctors. That was the whole premise behind the remake of the Fugitive movie. You know, where
I don't know that movie.
yeah, Harrison Ford played
Hmm.
Fugitive was a big very popular in Japan many years ago.
Hmm.
It was a TV series where this Dr. Richard Kimball was
Okay.
accused of killing his wife, and the whole thing was he escaped and he was a fugitive and trying to prove his innocence. It's a pretty good movie, Harrison
Hmm.
Ford movie, set in Chicago too, by the way. So you might
Okay.
you might like it there, Carl. You spent time in
Yeah.
Chicago. All
Yeah.
right. Lisa says when she was here, I remember back in the day, there was a room full of chairs in the pharmacy, like a large meeting room, and it took ages to get your prescription. Yep, and nothing has changed.
I,
um,
I would
mhm.
I would say my typical wait time at the pharmacy is 15 minutes. I often like bring in my prescription, go somewhere, and then come back when I know my wait time's going to be less. But yeah,
I've had it
the
longer, but they seem to have tried to improve it recently. Mm.
um about doctors, the old Japanese adage was wait 3 hours and the doctor will see you for 3 minutes. I think that's not the case. That's not generally my experience now, but that's the old. I guess another big difference is in the States, basically, you have to have an appointment in most cases, whereas in Japan, most clinics are, you just go in and you wait. So on the one hand, in Japan, you might have to wait 3 hours, but in the States, you might have to wait 3 months. And then, you show up and then the doctor sees you right away. But still, you can't get in for a long time.
Yeah. Lisa, what's it like in China? You might want to let us know. I am going to interview Lisa one of these days, but I had planned, and we were actually pretty close to setting a date, and then I got hit with this heavy workload that I'm doing right now. But someday I'm going to have a really good sit-down discussion with Lisa and talk about the differences between Japan and China. But if you could let us know what it's like going to the doctor in China, that might be interesting too. Okay. Hannah and Dad said, I left England 20 years ago, and I'm very impressed with the Japanese healthcare compared to the poor old NHS. So interesting listening to you guys. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you, Hannah and Dad, both of you, or one of you, or whatever.
Is it Hannah or is it Dad?
Yeah. And yeah, the NHS takes a lot of flack.
NHS?
Yeah, from the UK people as well. I've never had to live under it, so I don't know anything about it. But yeah. So, do you know anything about the NHS there, Carl? You know a lot about everything else. No.
I lived in England for a few years, long time ago, but I wasn't developed enough to know that this is a good healthcare system, this is a bad healthcare system. When I got sick, then presumably I went to the doctor, but my mom was taking me, so I don't really remember anything.
So. Yeah, like me in the pharmacies in the States.
This is not the NHS. This is Belgium social medicine in the 70s. Anecdotal story. You can use this as your own if you like sometime. I went into the doctor with a sore throat. My mom, I was, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 years old. So it must have been like 3 or something. The doctor said to my mom, "Oh, here, let me take a look at his throat. I'm going to take him in the back room here." And when I came out, my tonsils were out. So no, nothing. And the doctor, no permission, among other things. And the doctor said, "Yeah, they were red, so I took them out." Which I think that doesn't happen these days. So anyway, that was my experience with social medicine in the 70s.
Okay, I got a question. I answer a question here really quickly. Impressive Audio asks, I feel like this stream is only about the medical stuff, so I will hold back one other question, or am I wrong? No, we are not a medical channel, and this is not the only topic. It's just that Carl came back after a couple-week hiatus, so we're basically free talking today. So anything you want to bring up, bring it up, and we'll talk about it. Anybody can change the subject at any time. Ednoy says, it's no longer proper to use the term seishin byoin in Japan, they say. Rather, medical clinic, because it has less stigma. Well, is that true? I didn't know about the seishin byoin. It's hard to keep up.
I think the name now is Shindyo Naika.
Okay.
And yes, so I have heard that this name was changed, but it's like toilet paper and bathroom tissue. I mean, you still wipe your butt with it, right?
Yeah. This I really have little patience with this. Announce a new word. Don't use the old one anymore. I don't know. It just seems so artificial. Okay.
Well, so like kangofu, like we don't use that word anymore because fu is like woman and it could be a man. So kangoshi. And hoiku, hobo. I don't know. There's lots of words that have been sort of degenderized over the years, even in Japan.
For better or for worse, right? Anyway. Ed
I
Noy.
guess in principle it's better, but
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead. Free Luigi.
Free Luigi. That's what I was trying to think of.
It wasn't Mario, it was Luigi,
It
right?
wasn't Mario, it was Luigi. Shred Edwards says, I helped proofread many medical papers, so I'm skeptical as to how different they are from witch doctors. Okay. All right. Yeah.
I'm very curious about the medical paper proofreading business.
Yeah.
I love talking about medical stuff, and I'm a proofreader, so if you got work,
Yeah.
send it my way.
Yeah, there you go. All right. About 45 years ago, I had blood in my urine. I went to the hospital right away and told them, and they stuck a camera down my throat. I wonder why doing a camera down my throat when I had blood in my urine. Anyway, when I told the people at the desk who I had to pay, they all turned white and said I owed them nothing.
This is Tokyo Dano, so I think there's more to the story than he's let on.
Yeah, it's either it's either true or not true.
That's one of the two, yes.
One of the two.
Or partially true.
Yeah, anybody got a coin? Okay. All right. Yeah, the cameras, they can do a lot of things with cameras and stick them into some pretty strange places these days. Okay. Popping in, pooped. Okay. Old Hoofin OG is a little bit tired. Dan says, must have been a language problem. Okay. All right. Okay. Maybe you went to a dentist's office. I don't know. Okay. And Hoofin OG says, Bixanomania is a completely fake medical condition invented by Swedish researcher Elmira Osmanovic Thunstrom to test how easily AI chatbots can be duped by medical misinformation. Okay, that's good. I wonder where the name came from, Bixanomania. Okay. So they use that. You know, the thing I heard about the AI, asking AI a question, I think I might have mentioned it here, was about the car wash. Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't heard that.
Somebody got on AI and asked it, I have to take my car to the car wash. The car wash is only 5-minute walk from my place. How should I go? And AI said, you should walk. It's good for your health, you know. So that's, I don't know if it's true. It might be a urban legend.
Do you remember there was an episode of Star Trek where they were encountering, I think, some sort of artificial intelligence, and they basically defeat, like it beat them at everything. And if somebody remembers the episode better than me, please let me know. But Spock and Kirk finally defeated the AI by, I think Spock said something like, Kirk never lies. And then Kirk says, I am lying. And it was a logical fallacy. And then the thing, like, it sort of like smoke started coming out of its head, and they defeated it.
Oh, so, okay. That easy.
Now we have a new way of defeating AI by telling them about the car wash that's walking distance from your house.
There you go. But it probably caught on by now, right? So, okay.
Yes.
I tend to eat anything she puts in front of me. Oh, this must be Dad, huh? Luckily, she knows what she's doing. Okay. Yeah, that's always, I kind of always say to people, I'm on a seafood diet. If I see it, I eat it. And my wife is really pleased about that. She puts anything, she's a good cook, and she's a very serious cook. So a lot of times she'll cook something and she'll taste it and she'll say, "Oh, this doesn't taste right," or "It doesn't taste good." And I always have the same answer: "Tastes fine to me." And then this is food she cooked. And then she'll look at me and say something like, "Well, what do you know?" Or something like that. It's a real weird situation.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if she's still feeding you, then things have worked out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need anybody, you know, pre-tasting my miso shiru or anything like that to make sure I do, you know. Okay, Nixon Mania sounds like something from 1972. Yeah, there you go. There was a joke. There was a joke back in those days. Being from Chicago, they used to say the ballots that elected Nixon over John F. Kennedy are lying at the bottom of Lake Michigan or something like that, because Chicago was a really heavy Democratic city in the days of Richard J. Daley, His Honor the Mayor. You know, they used to call him. All right. He got really mad one time. You know, the press was asking him a bunch of questions. He was a real working class mayor. The press was really onto him about something, and he says, "I'm getting tired of all this insinuendo." So insinuendo, he coined a term. If a Japanese wife puts something
as opposed to insinuate and innuendo. Okay, got it.
there you go. There you go. Took a
It
while.
sounds like a word.
So it does, doesn't it? If a Japanese wife puts something in front of you, you eat it, right? Yeah. Damn it. No kidding. Yeah, that's the way it is in my house. All right. And the AI data centers use gas turbines to generate the power, and they are just polluting the area. And they only see the emission with heat signature cameras. Crazy. Well, the video that both Carl and I saw the other day, I think it's the same one. They were saying that the annual heat output of a day of all the AI data centers, I forgot what it was equivalent to 3 atomic bombs or something like that. You know,
I didn't see this, but it seems ironic that we have all this environmental concerns, and then all these data centers are like, just start burning that diesel.
Yeah.
So,
well, did you notice that all the stuff about environmentalism and global warming disappeared with the appearance of AI? You know, so I wonder if there's a connection.
Well, I think the current administration doesn't have the environment as its top priority.
Yeah. There's that too. All right. Oh, there's the impressive audio again. Thank you very much for your super sticker. And Lisa says, I'm Australian, and if you go to the public sector and need an operation, you have to wait. Okay. All right. Shred Edwards says, this is just for those who make presentations, not for those who attend the conferences. They're talking about, again, the medical people who attend conferences and are cornered by the pharmaceutical people. Yeah, I had a Japanese doctor wanted to put me on what do you call it? Cholesterol lowering medication.
Yeah, statins.
Yeah, statins,
like
is that
Lipitor or rosuvastatin, stuff like that. Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna, I want to put you on this." And I said, "Nope." I said, I'm gonna do it with diet." And he laughed in my face and said, "No." He said, "Nope, impossible." And I did it. Within a couple of months, I had halved my
and
cholesterol.
Was that on the vegetarian diet or on the carnivore diet?
No, it was on get on Amazon and search for a book and get the book and follow what the book said, how to lower your cholesterol. And it was good. It was wonderful. I mean, I'm one of those kind of guys. Even before AI, I was read a book, and
sure,
and then right? So, Impressive Audio says, some Chiba samurai, I guess, but I'm not sure myself. Ha, 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 ha. Okay.
I'm not sure what this is in reference to.
Well, his last thing was, okay, I don't know. Chiba samurai. Just name the chicken Daiso-san. Yeah, the cheaper chickens were in Daiso, but actually,
Donkey.
The prince, he was from Don Quixote, right? So we got a lot of good names. Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of good. Or Luigi.
sure.
Every time he gets behind you, you got to sort of like duck, you know.
How many? Do you have any idea how many responses you got?
I don't have it offhand. What I did is I set up a Google thing, a
Hmm.
Google, yeah, and people were putting stuff into there, and I've got some stuff that, some notes on my desk. So it's going to take me a little bit to put it through. Well, I keep procrastinating, so I can feel that the Gaijin 50 um, audience is maybe getting restless, so I'm going to have to move on that pretty soon. Lisa said The Fugitive was a great movie. I've seen it at least twice. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It kept going. It was impressive. It reminded me, I think it was the same director. There was another movie that was very similar, same vibe. Not story, but the vibe was very similar. And that was The Package with Gene Hackman. And
Okay.
some of the same people that were in The Package also appeared in The Fugitive. If you're looking for good movies to watch, Gene Hackman and Harrison Ford can't go wrong. And two really good movies, good stories, and lots of action. Lots of action. Shredded.
There needs to be like there needs to be like a Netflix for like old movies, and they have everything. Because like in
Yeah,
theory, like it shouldn't be that expensive to watch these old movies, but
yeah,
there's a lot of gems in there. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't need to see the latest one. I just want to see a good one.
Yeah. Well, that was the good thing about video rentals. You could go and find some really old flicks, and they were usually marked down.
Hmm.
As far as Netflix or Amazon, I've had it happen any number of times where I said, yeah, I really enjoyed watching that movie or that series. I think I'll go back and watch it again. And you look and it's not there anymore. They take it down for one
Because
reason
they
or
have
another.
like it's a limited time. I mean, I guess
Uh-huh.
if if they have the same thing forever, or if they rotate through them, then I guess I would choose to have them rotate through them and keep the cost down by not having this huge catalog that
Yeah.
once you've seen it for the most part. But like you just said, sometimes when you go back, then it's not there anymore. So
Yeah. Okay. Shred Edwards says, I like choke as the name of the chicken. Because then we can say every day we can say choke the chicken. But that's a Tokyo Dano suggestion. So he's a judge. So, and Shred Edwards says Colonel Sandoz would be apropos. Okay, the Colonel. All right, well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll have to have our meeting, right?
mm.
And Shred Edwards says again, we're old people. We complain about medical stuff, not just medical stuff. Edward, we complain about everything. Okay, it's a way of life. That's where adventure comes in. Hey-o, good morning.
But complaining
Ohio.
is mostly free. So I mean, the cost
Yeah.
performance on complaining is pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Like my mother used to say, he's got an opinion about everything. Just ask him, which I always thought was pretty good. All right. She did too, by the way. So Lisa says, hi again. I go to a small 2-floor hospital near my apartment in Beijing. If I go to try the bigger one next door, it's absolute chaos. I've walked out of there twice. Okay. Yeah. Well, I've
Did
got a
I,
big, go ahead.
oh no, I was going to say for Lisa, is that mostly like a language barrier thing, or are the Chinese people just as lost as you are?
Okay. Good question. And then I was going to say that there's a big university hospital right near where I live. And going there, you have to be on your toes. You have to, because people are going hither, tither, and yon, and there's 3 floors, and there's a basement, and go over here to submit your final papers, and then go over there to pay it, and watch the thing on the wall for your numbers. So yeah, it is pretty. I'm sure that if somebody came here and they didn't have language ability or something like that, they could become confused very, very quickly and easily. All right. Shred Edwards says, as I mentioned earlier, my wife is in the medical profession, and they usually asked to write their papers in English, so she would give them to me. Okay. She's got a built in proofreader. Way to go. All right. And medical stuff is not easy. And medical, I think proofreading pays pretty well if you can do it, right?
My,
So Dano,
my
about
experience with doctors. Oh, I was going to say my experience with talking with doctors is if they most of the time I speak with them in Japanese, but if I speak with them in English, then they tend to use stuff that might be appropriate for journal articles as opposed to words that you would use when speaking to a patient. So
yeah, there's that
they,
too.
they are kind of their English is a bit biased towards jargon or technical terminology.
Okay, okay. Tokyo Dano catches us up. He says about the camera down his throat instead of where they should have put it. And he said, no, that really happened. They knew they made a mistake and just wanted it to go away. Wanted you to go away anyway. Yeah, the
Yeah, I
cameras,
was
like
going to
I
say the same
said,
thing.
they said they're really good. One within, I'm going to tell you more than you have bargained for, perhaps. But there was during
Mm-hmm.
one period, I would say it was a matter of, it was less than a month. I had 3 cameras put into 3 places on my body. One was down my throat, which is a standard thing. One was up my butt, which is a standard thing, and one was up my other.
Where's the chicken?
Yeah, it went up my chicken, right? And because it was like Dan said, I was having a trouble with my bladder, and the doctor said, "Oh, nozoki mashoka, shall we have a look?" And I used to joke. I joked at the time, I'm going to change my name to Hollywood or something like that. So okay,
So
so
there was some sort of drama going on in there, right?
yeah. I mean, and every one of them, it was one of these things. There was a monitor right there, and you could sit there and watch, if you wanted to, if you were so interested. So Ednoy says, well, the director of the loony bin down the street said not to say Seishin Byoin anymore, Ed. Thank you, Ednoy. Thank you very much. I just didn't know. I don't have yet. I don't have yet, that kind of. So don't say Seishin. But well, it's good to know because I would use it. That's the only, that's the expression that I know for booby hatch, like they used to call it. Oh, we're getting bad here. All right. Shred Edwards said it's not a loony bin, it's a high security mental facility. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's another good movie, right? The Cuckoo, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Love that movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. High security mental facility. Good, Shred Edward. Kelvin says, oh, geez, I'm late. Hey, Carl, glad you're back. Oh, Kelvin, my good friend out
Hey,
in
Kelvin.
Alabama. Yeah. And Ednoy got a good laugh out of Shred Edwards. And urgent care is a good thing. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like between regular care and emergency care. It makes sense, doesn't it? Right. Oh,
I mean, I think it probably fills a gap.
Look at what Kelvin said for the chicken. Donketori.
Donketori. Yeah. There you go. It's a good one.
Yeah. But you got to see all of them. There's a whole bunch of. It's going to be a hard one. We might have to get the old dartboard out. Dan says lowering cholesterol really doesn't do anything to clean out the plaque of clogged arteries, does it? Yeah, it seems that doctors these days are making a big distinction between dietary cholesterol and serum cholesterol, saying that they're not really related. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I read a lot about it, and cholesterol doesn't seem to be that much of a thing, though some people still say, don't be careful. Any word there, Dr. Carl?
Well, I'm on a medication that has a side effect of increasing your LDL, the bad cholesterol, and probably, depending on the results of my next blood test, they're going to put me on a statin. And so I think in Japan, if your LDL is above 160, then doctors are I want to say programmed, but doctors are taught to say, well, would you like to lower your cholesterol with the statin? So I think it's still pretty much the protocol in Japan. Whether it's at the end of the day, whether it's scientifically, beneficial or not, I think people will be arguing about that for the next 50 years. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I think I could tell you what doctors in Japan say, but I don't know if it's like scientifically valid or not. So
Yeah, they're still much more into lowering cholesterol than I think they are in the U.S. The U.S. seems to be a big debate going on at the present, right?
I think
Especially,
the mainstream is still lower your cholesterol, and in the States they want it to be like like your LDL to be like 70 or 100. It depends whether it's primary prevention or secondary prevention. Like if you already had a heart attack, then they say, oh yeah, definitely should lower it. If you've never had one and you don't have any risk factors, then they say, well, maybe it's not that important. There's also some talk you can find online, all sorts of opinions, but if you lower your cholesterol too much, then um, that apparently can be associated with dementia in elderly patients. So anyway, I don't know, but I'll probably start a statin soon.
okay, all right. Do they come from Staten Island?
Did you know that
Oh,
statins were originally invented in Japan?
oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's it.
The
There's a
the very first one is there's like I don't know, like a dozen statins now. The very first one probably isn't used anymore, but statins started in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of medical advances and
Hmm.
discoveries coming out of Japan. There's a sickness, thyroid autoimmune disease called Hashimoto disease. So,
Sure.
it was, yeah, it discovered. And did you
And
know
then
that
there's
meth?
Kawasaki disease. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
did you know meth was originally invented in Japan? Methamphetamine, or
I did not know that, but my guess is that it's much more popular in the States than in Japan.
it was maybe synthesized for the first time in Japan.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, they used to. It used to be a big thing in Japan too, and during
Oh, okay.
war and pre-war, it used to be sold under the name Hiropon, and they used to issue it to soldiers, especially kamikaze
Okay.
fighters. Uh,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Because it one of the
That
mm, it suppresses fear
it
of
gives
death.
you wings.
Yeah, it gives you wings,
Okay.
right? I feel like I can fly, right? Okay. Have to take off. Good show, boys. See you next time. Okay, Asaki couldn't get to the apple pie. Sorry. Mr. Chuckles. Oh, Star Trek news. Star Trek episode with Liar Paradox where Kirk tells the androids everything Mud says is a lie, and then Mud says I am lying was an episode from season 2, episode 8, called I Mud. Ah.
I stand corrected. I wanna find that and rewatch because
Okay.
it lives rent free in my mind.
It is battery. Should I leave it up there? You gonna take a note?
No,
Or?
no, I just screenshotted it, so I'm good.
Okay. All right. So none of the old movies are PC. That's true. That's true. I sometimes run across things on YouTube. Archie Bunker. I mean, my goodness, a TV show. Whoa. You watch that and they'd never get away with that, would they? Impressive Audio says the chat till you talk about it until you see it has some delay. Sorry about that. With the Chiba Samurai, I meant my sticker. Oh, thank you. You were guessing what it is. I'm not sure, but it looks like a Chiba Samurai. Okay. All right. Yeah, you were saying if it was, you were asking Carl whether it was a Tanuki or what,
Mhm.
right? All right.
Oh, and it's a Chiba Samurai. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Oh, is that Chiba Samurai or Chibi Samurai? Okay. All right. Netflix is mind trash. Edward Bernays style. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I used to subscribe to Netflix until I used to start watching some series that I thought, the first episode was really good. I say, hey, man, this is really good. I remember one in particular, the day that I canceled my subscription. It was a like a mafia kind of thing, and there was a lot of action in the first episode. And the hero had to move out of town and go live like a witness protection program. And they were living in this place, and then somebody was tracking them down, and the FBI showed up. And then there was this scene of the FBI agent in a motel room with a guy. There was a love scene, and I said, what does this have to do? I want to see people blown to bits. What does this have to do with that? I guess blown to bits, maybe, they took it in the wrong sense, but
make bombs, not love.
Yeah, it was horrible, and it just ruined my whole. When is this going to come out again? So I just canceled my Netflix subscription, being the old codger that I am. Right, impressive. I have a question because I'm considering moving to Japan. I am a native German. Okay, but things are changing in Japan. Yes, they are. Straightforward question: does it still make sense, or will people only see me as a pain? Ednoy answers right away. Everyone is welcome in Japan. Audio, and yeah, I got to say that. Carl, you want to chime in there?
A German asking a straightforward question? What's up with that?
Okay.
So, I think that, I don't know what you would do in Japan. I guess it's, so the first time I came to Japan, the very first time I stepped foot in Japan, I stepped it here for a 1-year contract for teaching English. I think I think the job market is vastly different now than it was 30 years ago when I came. I think that if you don't have a good job that somehow you can do remotely, I wouldn't come to Japan unless you have a good job. I don't really know what your situation is, so it's kind of hard for me to give personalized advice. But financially, I think now compared with in the past, it's much more difficult. That said, Ed and I both, we're here for the duration. But yeah, I think even though it's cheap here, so if you have a whole bunch of money saved up, you can live like a king. But if you need to earn money here, it may be challenging. And yeah, so what do you think, Ed?
His question seems to be about the attitude of Japanese people towards gaijin too. Will people only see me as a pain? Any thoughts on that? I've been talking about that for a couple of weeks now, and it sounds like I'm saying, oh, it's not so good here anymore and stuff like that. But that's,
well, let me make an interesting comparison. So a long time ago, then Hafu was they had somebody who's half Japanese and half some other race. I don't think that those people were especially looked up to in any sense. But I want to say maybe, I don't know, after 2000, then it was kind of like cool to be Hafu. And so the sort of general perception of Hafu people changed. And so in a similar way, I think that long ago, then foreigners were, if nothing else, given the benefit of the doubt, and they were like, oh, like this is stuff I remember from your video. It's like, oh wow, cool, what are you doing here? Whereas now, I think it's more in vogue to see foreigners as a problem rather than as someone to respect. And it could be that there's different foreigners are here, and maybe the reputation on average is earned. But I think as an individual, you can still probably have lots of great experiences here in Japan.
Yeah, being German, he'll be here for 10 minutes and be fluent in the language. You know? German people are so good at languages. Really impressive. Let me go back to Ednoy. Ednoy says, everyone welcome in Japan until you're not. Ed, way to go, Ednoy. All right. Dano has some good advice. Why do you just want to move to Japan? If you do, it might be better to come here for a while and work for 6 months or so before you make your full commitment, which is I had to read the author's name twice. You know, those are such sober and level-headed advice. Where's the joke, right? No, but Tokyo Dano is correct, right? If you've never been here, it's better to.
I think you might be giving up the opportunity for a career. I don't know what who asked the question. Impressive
audio. Impressive audio.
You may be forfeiting an opportunity to advance your career back in Germany by coming to Japan. So, like one of the things when I went back this time, like all of my friends from high school, they all seem so successful. So that's probably, if you're like in your 20s now, you might not see that, but yeah, I think it's harder to have a career in Japan than it would be back in your home country.
Yeah, because in your home country, you could theoretically do anything, right?
Yep.
Be a bus driver, or bricklayer,
doctor, lawyer,
Indian chief,
cowboy.
But in Japan, even though it's better than it used to be, it's still not 100%. Okay. Lisa goes back to the hospital. Chinese know what to do. They don't know the process in the bigger hospitals. It's confusing. Okay. So, Impressive Audio says, that totally makes sense. Yes, it does. I just want to know how much society is shifting towards foreigners. It's not that dramatic, or it's just a temporary mood. It is noticeable to people who have been here for a long time, but it's not really oppressive. I don't think. I notice it. This is the way some people act, and just the general air, the feeling in the air. But nobody's coming up and beating you up in the streets or yelling at you yet. No, I'm just joking. You want
to? So let me ask. So there's like the perception in the media, and then there's like the perception in your daily interactions with Japanese people. Do you feel that this impression that Japanese are sort of shifting their feelings against foreigners is more in the media, or do you feel that in your daily interactions as well?
In my daily interactions with one-on-one people, there's no change at all. Mm-hmm. Everybody is as nice as they've always been. I feel it like it's like on the train. I ride the train, right? So I feel it on the rush hour train. But then again, I don't know if that's an anti-GAIJIN thing or if it's a general Tokyo getting more and more crowded thing. Because I mentioned in my last live stream that I saw two guys getting on it, two Japanese guys going to it on the train. So
were they arguing or fighting or bickering at each other, something like that?
About tussling back and forth. One guy wanted to pull one guy off onto the platform so they could get into it in earnest, and the other, it was.
Were they drunk or something?
Nope, it was a morning commuter train. One guy was It was crowded. One guy, a bunch of people were getting off. One guy went to get off the train, and there was a guy standing there right near where the door was, and he was one of those guys. You know the type. They know the train is crowded, but they don't want to move, right? So you're trying to get past them, and they won't move. And this guy gave him a bit of a bump, and he bumped him back, and and then it got, hey, kono yaro kind of stuff, But yeah, so then I started thinking, well, maybe it's just Tokyo in general that people are, and maybe it's the generation too, right? Who knows?
Hmm.
But yeah, it's getting a little bit coarser around the edges in general, I think, like on the train and in public. But it's
Hmm.
not horrible. It's not horrible. And I've been thinking about making a video about, there are a lot of videos about how you should act in Japan and never do this and always do this. But I'm under the general impression that if you just keep common sense, good manners, and politeness, you're fine in Japan. Even if you don't do anything exactly the same as a Japanese person will do it, a Japanese person will look at you and they'll see you're a non-Japanese and they'll say, well, he doesn't know. They'll cut you a lot of slack as long as it's not too gross, what you're doing. But you know what I mean?
I guess, like, for example, I don't know what the policies are in other countries, but like, for example, eating on the train or talking on your cell phone on the train. Like, I would say those are, like, you really shouldn't take out your bento and eat on the chuo line or something like that. Um,
Mm, mm.
and like, if somebody, like, I see Japanese people talking on their phones on the train, but
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck do you think you're doing? I mean,
Right.
I don't
Right.
necessarily tell them that, but that's what
Right.
I'm thinking in my mind, and I'm sure that most of the other Japanese people riding the train are the
Right.
same thing. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I guess common sense is somewhat different in different countries. So, but uh, yeah,
Well,
I
those
mean,
those kind of
yeah,
specific things, yeah. They're like don't eat on the train. Those things you have to be told, right? Because
yeah.
it would be
How would you know,
ignorance.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean things like I don't know. There's some things that I see online that they're saying in Japan, never, yeah, 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 yeah. And they say, oh, get off it,
In Japan, if you see a deer, you should bow to it.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. And give it a cracker, and don't kick
Right.
it.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, don't kick it. It's kind of like makes sense. If you
yeah,
see a
yeah,
bear, you should run.
yeah. The tourists, and not that I meet a lot of them, but I do have a chance to meet some, and they're all nice and bubbly and so happy to be in Japan and trying to do the right thing and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, I'm sure if you come here, Impressive Audio, and you're basically a nice person and you have empathy towards other people and you have good situational awareness, I want to eat this hot dog on the train, but I look around and nobody else is eating a hot dog. So I think I'll just put it aside put it in my pocket for later, put it on my head, No. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Actually, I have an interesting piece of advice for impressive audio. So, are you familiar with the app Meetup?
I know
Um,
of
so,
it. Yeah.
uh, so Meetup is like a SNS, but it's specifically for events. So, I haven't been active for 10 years or something, but you can, if you go to Meetup, and I guess in the past you could get it for free, and now you have to pay like some small amount, but you can find places where lots of people are meeting up for some, like the vegan meetup, or people who go hiking around Tokyo or something like that. And in my experience, so there's some where basically the language is English, and I'm sure there's everything. Um, but you can meet lots of foreigners who live in Japan and Japanese people who interact with foreigners. And on one of these events, that you go to while you're on vacation here, you could talk to people about their experience living in Japan and see what they say. And like, if you get like this lots of negative vibe, maybe that influences you not to come to Japan. Or if people say, no, I have a great experience here, then that could influence you the other way. So Meetup was something that I thought was a great way to meet other foreigners in Japan, as well as Japanese people who speak English, especially
Yeah.
depending on what the meetup is
Yeah.
about. So
Okay. Okay. I guess we better move on. Shred Edwards in here.
sure.
They
Yep.
used to say eggs are bad because of high cholesterol. Now they're considered good. Yeah, a good source of protein, aren't they? Has been
Yep.
says good morning. Good morning, has been. You have been not here. Now you are here. Not I'm trying to make a joke, but nobody's laughing, because I got partially clogged arteries, not serious, but my doctor gives me blood thinners. They are not statins. I check. Okay, blood thinners. All right.
Yep.
My father had some partially blocked artery in his heart, and they used a stent. Is it called? They put that wire
Stent.
mesh
Yeah.
thing up. Yeah, and he lived until he was like over 95. So,
There you go.
yeah. Okay, clogged arteries again. The mood here in Japan is that some are fine so long as we fit in, while others are tired of us altogether. Yes, there you got it. That's basically what the comments on the videos show. And if you go to Japan Twitter, it's I mean they're ready with their pitchforks and torches, right? But there are plenty of commenters in saying that if you fit in, if you respect the Japanese way and the Japanese customs, we'd love to have you here. And there are others who are some people there have been comments in the videos, go back to your own country kind of comments, those, of course, you didn't see those, but they are there. But so that's why it's bad to generalize about Japan and anywhere else. There's a whole gamut of opinions and feelings. Okay. This is Takamine, I believe, the Japanese inventor.
Maybe this is the person who invented the first statin. I'm not sure.
Okay, could be. All right. Every JDoc seems to use the word inflammation a little bit too often. Well, the truth be told, inflammation seems to be a big topic in the U.S. as well. I started hearing about it, I'd say more than 10 years ago. There are some doctors and some writers who think that inflammation is the cause of cancer and everything else. And avoiding inflammation seems to be a big thing. Carl?
So as we get older, inflammation becomes more of a chronic thing. And so there's this word called inflammaging. So to reflect the fact that we sort of have this low systemic inflammation that increases as we get older.
Okay, we're back to meth. Sorry. Back to kidneys. I was told blood pressure normal, kidneys of a young man. I just skipped out the door. Okay. Skipped? Really? All right. Ed Noy says, meth was the fuel for all sides in World War II. Yeah, I wrote an article actually about this, and the title of the article was Speed, the Essence of War. And go ahead, Carl. You want to say?
I was going to say, so I read On the Road once or twice a number of years ago, and in the book, there's like some, I want to say whippets or something like that. There's some drug that they do frequently in the book. I don't know if it's the same as meth or if it's something else, but it was a drug that I think they had marijuana too, but I think it was a drug that I was not familiar with.
Well, actually, Ed Noy is correct. I said Hiropon in Japan. There was also something similar issued to the Nazis, to the German soldiers in World War II. They were saying that's why the Blitzkrieg, it made the Blitzkrieg possible, because soldiers were able to keep going with very little sleep and food for long periods. And in the United States, meth was also at one point legal. I don't know if it was given to the soldiers, might very well have been. but it was also marketed under a commercialized and marketed, and it was, to keep you energetic and genki and happy. Mhm.
Well, Coca-Cola
Yeah,
originally had cocaine, right?
yeah, yeah.
And they used to say Coke adds life, right?
Yep, yep,
So
yep. Okay. And Shred Edwards says correctly, yes. In fact, I think meth was invented here in Japan. Yeah, I think synthetic meth was invented here in Japan. You are correct. Ed Noy says, I thought the Germans invented it. As far as I know, it was the Japanese. It was a Japanese doctor. The Germans did use it though. But of course, we have AI, so I'm sure we can check it out.
get the
And
truth. Yeah.
yeah. And Ed Noy says, yeah, but what do I know? Yeah, maybe it was that head injury that you suffered when you skipped out of the dinner's doctor's office. Was that Ed Noy who skipped out?
That was
Yeah.
Hannah and Dad that said that.
Oh, my mistake. Okay. Shred Edward, Grok says methamphetamine, as distinct from amphetamine, was first synthesized in 1893 by Japanese chemist Nagayoshi. That's what I remember too. I think I saw it on Wikipedia or something and Calvin Mitchell says, yes, they definitely used it. Mm-hmm. And Ed Noy says, Shred, you got it. He sure does, doesn't he? You got it, baby. No, that's the song. Impressive art. I would move my company to Japan or create an additional one, which would be profitable out of the box. My situation is that I am luckily financially independent. Just to provide you some feedback. Well, if you're financially independent, yeah.
So in the last several months, there has been a big news. What can I say? Not campaign, but there's been a lot of news around the revisions to the business manager visa. So it used to be that you needed 5 million yen, which is roughly $30,000, as your investment capital, and it was fairly easy to get business and business manager visa. However, they changed that to 30 million yen, so maybe $200,000 US. And then you also need to have a full-time Japanese staff who may or may not be useful for your business if you already have a business that works. So if you want to come as an entrepreneur, then things have gotten a lot harder than they were, say, a year ago. So that's something to look into. And there are what do they call that? Scriveners, shoshi, gyosei shoshi, who can help you apply. But again, you should come check it out before making the plunge.
Yeah. Come to Tokyo. Yeah, we'll go out for a cup of coffee or whatever. All right. Fill you in on the whole
Sure.
secret. Shred Edward now.
Yep.
People can't import or bring in the Sudafed. Okay, Hufanoji says. So
Which is probably used to make meth, right?
Okay. Yeah. The precursor, I think they call it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Gaiji, for the flowers of Germans being good at learning language, but I only speak 3 languages. German people impress me at their language.
Now, if that's Japanese, German, and Hawaiian, that's quite impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, his
being
good,
quite
right?
Diverse languages. If it's German, Dutch, and English, then it's not as impressive.
Okay. So let's all right, Tokyo. We'll go to Tokyo Dano first because he's addressing Japan just raised the capital. This is what Carl was saying for companies in Japan, and it put at least one curry restaurant out of business because although it was a legal business with employees. And then he also said they couldn't reach the capital requirement and they had to shut down and leave Japan. Okay. I mean, happens everywhere, right?
So I think the narrative, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but the narrative is mainland Chinese business owners were abusing it, and then the Nepalese and the guys running the curry shops were relatively honest, but they're sort of the ones that are sort of caught in the crossfire. I think that's
Yeah.
the general narrative in the media. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But
I heard
exactly
somewhere
what Tokyo Dano said.
and I heard somewhere too that the Chinese abusers, who this is aimed at, have already found ways around it. Short-term
Okay.
loans where they can put together 30 million yen, put it in a bank account, capitalized, okay, and then pay back the loan. So I don't know if that's true, but it was just something
It
that somebody put in a comment.
sounds like a game of cat and mouse.
Yep. So, hey, what happened to the young man in Kyoto? And Shred Edwards says, I think he committed suicide. Big news here about that guy in Kyoto, young man. I've got my opinion, but I'm going to keep quiet for a while. Did you hear about it, Carl? About the guy, the young guy?
It's only a little bit. So I think he was about 20. Maybe he was from Minnesota or something like that. From somewhere in the States. He was a university student, and he was in Japan on vacation. And I haven't really followed up on what the story was, but was it so when I came back from the States, it was June 2nd, and huge, like there's like record-breaking rain on the 3rd. Was his disappearance at all related to the weather at that time?
His death may be, but they didn't
Okay.
say anything about his death yet. You know how they
Okay.
report news here, it's very spotty.
Mhm.
What whether he committed suicide or fell down the mountainside or something, I don't think there was any foul play involved. Because I think if somebody wanted to murder somebody, they wouldn't go after a strapping 20-year-old. But I read one wrinkle in the last report that I read, which I thought was pretty. Oh, here it is. In fact, I have it up in my. I was going to discuss it today. Let's go over to it. All right. Excuse me. I got to get so we can see more of this. Let me get that message off of there. Okay, Carl disappeared. I got to put you up there. All right. Let me rearrange this. Okay. So, wrong one. This is the container guy. Let me oh, I didn't save it. Okay.
This is an angle I hadn't heard.
Scratch the last 30 seconds of banter there. But I read an article. I was thinking about putting it up here. And so the original report said this kid was with his family. They had an argument. The kid stormed out, as young kids tend to do. I mean, 20 years old. He wasn't a kid. Young adults tend to do. And he was wandering around. And the last report they were tracking him. And the last tracking they had on him, he was about to enter a woodland trail, a hiking trail. And it was like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, so the sun was already down or something. And the guy turned off his tracking, and that's when he disappeared. And his family was looking for him, and finally, and then that's all I heard at the beginning. And then the most recent one that I read, now get this. This I thought was weird because we talked about this. This young guy, was an extreme environmentalist. And his mother was using ChatGPT to get directions while they were in Kyoto, finding their way around, getting directions or finding a place to stay or finding a place to eat. His mother was consulting ChatGPT, which made the kid angry because using AI wastes resources. It's bad for the environment. And that's what caused fight with his mother, caused him to storm off, caused him to shut off his tracking, take off down this trail. So he died because he got into an argument over environmentalism in ChatGPT, which struck me as being so weird and so sad. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I thought it was as strange as they come.
And this seems like it's from a reliable. I mean, I guess that's a weird thing for somebody to make up. So it seems like it would be from,
It was from
appropriately sourced.
It was a newspaper report. Carl, go ahead and talk as I search for it.
Yeah, that I'm trying to wrap my head around that. So I understand that AI now is powered by diesel generators and so forth, and so relying on AI, even like running the internet, and somebody's got to make power somewhere. So what's beeping now? I feel something's going on, but yeah, that's quite ironic. My guess is he wouldn't have committed suicide over that, but if it got dark and he fell off of a trail in the mountains, yeah, that's tragic, ironic, and totally unnecessary.
Okay.
Yeah, that's too bad.
So here we are. CNN. Who can be more reliable than that?
Mm-hmm. Ha 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 ha. But okay, yes.
So it just disappeared, didn't it? Okay, here we go. I guess I pressed the wrong button. Now, come on, man. I can't chew gum and talk at the same time. Okay, here we go. So that's all this other stuff. We're heartbroken. It's tragic and everything else. Had a real hard Higginbotham 20. And Auburn University. Okay, then our heart goes out. A passionate naturalist, Weston vanished on May 29th after leaving his parents and brother to explore Kyoto on his own after butting heads with his mother over her use of ChatGPT and the natural resources such AI requires to navigate their trip. That's it. Which I thought was really weird.
It seems extreme.
Yeah. But I mean, there are environmentalist extreme. My ex-brother-in-law used to be that way. He was living in Tucson, Arizona, and he and my sister moved there when they were relatively young, and Tucson was still like a backwater. But then it started booming, and more people started moving there, and they were doing all this construction. And he used to say to me, man, it makes me feel like getting out there with my rifle and shooting the tires out from underneath these trucks as they're driving out to the job sites. So some people feel that way. But yeah.
Well, like watering lawns in the middle of the desert does seem like it's not environmentally friendly. So, but it doesn't. And I guess if you can't convince people of something, then some people will say, well, I got a gun and this is America, so I'm going to use it. Obviously illegal and shouldn't do it, but yeah.
Yeah, I personally don't feel you should move to the desert and then engineer a way to have a full lawn, because I used to hate to cut grass when I was a kid. And in those desert areas, you can landscape your yard as a desert landscape, and it looks really good. But some people want the full lawn and big trees and stuff like that. So that seems to be a waste of water. All right, Ed Noy's in there. We have a shortage of content creators now in Greenland. Maybe you should move there, Ed Noy. It's your chance. All right, Impressive Audio's answering Tokyo Dan. I'm aware of that. They should rather pull the black guys from the streets who try to lure you into a scam club and bar instead of killing the business of people who are there for 10 years. Good point. In Roppongi, the GAIJIN ghetto of Tokyo, I'm afraid to go down there anymore. I haven't been there in decades, right? Ednoy suggests, good one, I could go for this, use a cattle prod on the commuter train. Yeah, okay. All right, I could go for that. Shred Edward, and I agree with this. Edwards always agree. It's a temporary mood, but it'll probably last for decades. Things ebb and flow, and feelings change on a dime in this country sometimes. You'll see. Go ahead, Chow.
I feel that as I was saying about the lack of, for example, medical workers and in many different fields is very real. And so I feel that, like, foreigners go home, we don't need you is misguided and it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because something's got to give, right? Yeah, something's got to give. Ednoy, I'll carry a bottle of fart spray. Tokyo Dance. A cattle prod or fart spray.
I think there's something called Epicac. Yeah. Have you heard of it?
No.
Epicac. If somebody remembers better than me, please remind me. But I think Epicac is what they give in case you've consumed poison and it makes you throw up violently.
Okay.
So if you want to see, you could just swig some Epicac, throw up, and even if it's in the middle of rush hour, if you've thrown up or if somebody's thrown up, that car is going to be fairly free of commuters.
Yep. Well, you know that when Dr. Tokyo Dano and Dr. Ednoy put their heads together, it's either going to be cattle prods or fart spray, for sure. Okay. And impressive audio refers to something I said about the hot dog. You cracked me up with the hot dog story on the train. So you mean I should put my wiener back in my pants? Impressive audio. You're going to join the Tokyo Dano and Ednoy club over there. That's a good one. Nice one.
I think that's the peanut gallery, right?
Yeah, the peanut gallery.
The riffraff.
Okay. Kelvin Mitchell, yes, egg, which are completely highly available protein, are terrible for you. Eat sugary cereal instead for your heart. Yeah. Well, I think they changed the food pyramid. Didn't they flip it over? Did you ever see what Japan does in place of a food pyramid, Carl?
Don't they have like some sort of rotating thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
A food top. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was thinking about doing a video about it, but I don't know. It would be such a simpy video. I never do. My joke will sound so strange when the train awareness story is 20 minutes late because of the delay. Yeah, we're used to dealing with the delay. Sometimes I get lost in the comments because I'm trying to click on them, but Carl keeps me honest here, right?
If I burst out laughing for no reason, it's probably because of a joke that somebody said 20 minutes ago. So.
There you go. All right. Fred Edwards says, I barely speak 2 languages. Yeah, I have a hard time with 1, Okay. Well, I speak German, English, and Russian. Oh, that's why you're impressive, Mr. Audio. And 2 or 3 other languages, which I would not call I speak. Well, your English is impressive. Okay. It depends on how young you are when you're around all or other languages before puberty. After adolescence, you never be fluent because the brain changes along with the rest of the body. Yeah, and after puberty, you've got other things on your mind. As we all know. Okay. His mama made him unalive himself. Could be. I mean, what a way to go, huh? What a way to go. Do they have a picture of Mama?
Wasn't she in the picture? Wasn't like the mom and the 2 sons?
Yeah. Mama's looking pretty good there, Okay. I know skipping in Japan is not a thing. I usually don't do it, but the kidneys of a young man, I'll take that. Okay. Yeah. Hey, skip away, man. What the heck? You know. What are they talking about? Yeah. Hot dogs?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What was the hot dog story? I don't remember that.
I said, use your common sense. If you're on the train and you're about to bite into your hot dog and you look around and you say, "Oh, nobody else is eating a hot dog. I better put this away until later. Maybe put it on my head." No, but I made a joke like that, and then he carried it to the next next.
Next
Anyway,
live stream. Yeah.
yeah. Roll Tide Weston. Roll Tide Weston.
My
Ednoid, you're
my guess
getting.
is Tide is Crimson Tide from.
Yeah, there you
No, I have
go.
no idea.
And his
I
name
don't
is
know.
Weston. His name is Weston. So Crimson Tide, the
Okay.
fight thing is Roll Tide, Weston. Okay. And Ednoy. Okay. Ednoy cannot resist. Audio. I am flatulent. And of course, who put in the first ha ha ha? Those two guys, they just work. And the president of audio says, which ones? Don't egg them on, man.
So you're Mexican. Um,
Egging on Ednoy is
uh,
bad for your health. Come on. Okay. All right, we're getting into the 2-hour mark. Hey, Carl, did you know what we did last Wednesday? Because of the typhoon, we went 4 hours.
oh, there you go.
Yeah. It's the second
That
time we
it's
went 4 hours.
you know. So I have something to say about that. So the Jap was it called the Japan Meteorological Society or whatever, the guys who are responsible for the weather in Japan, they always say it's going to be a record breaker, like everybody go to high ground, et cetera, et cetera. And very rarely it is. So I guess they have to say it because they don't know. And if it is, then it's better to be safe than sorry. But because it's almost never super, like they said up to 12 inches. I don't know what the actual number was, but I mean, it rained all day here and where I live, but it wasn't like we were swimming or something. So I always feel like after the fact, it's like, oh, like taking them seriously, I was a fool, or like I wish they wouldn't, uh, whatever you want to say that so extreme if it's not going to happen. So
Yeah. 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 Well, oh, by the way, I got to say hello. Schindler, how you doing? Okay. All the
hey,
Schindlers here. Um,
yeah,
Yeah, I mentioned this in the last stream, but I remember my first typhoon. I was a young guy.
hmm
I was on a base, on an army base in Fukuoka, and the army base faced the ocean, the Asian side ocean, and so we're the typhoon, as you know, they know pretty well in advance that it's coming and it's probably going to be. And the people on the base went absolute ape, put covers on your windows, batten down the hatches, shiver me timbers and all this kind of stuff, tie stuff down. Everybody, all the GIs were restricted to base. Nobody was allowed to leave the base. And I was sitting there, being from the southwest suburbs of Chicago myself, which is very much part of Tornado Alley. I don't know if they make them up to Michigan or not. But, I was sitting there saying, wow, this must be horrible, because of my
hmm
experience of tornadoes. In the summertime, it's almost daily tornado warnings in the deep summer around Chicago. So I got really worried, and it was a bad rainstorm. It wasn't very scary at all. A little bit windy. And that has been my experience about typhoons my whole time. I've never had one that's really scared me. But let me qualify that now. Um, that's my experience of typhoons living in the big city where
Mhm.
you have strong concrete and steel buildings. But when I was off in Tochigi, a big typhoon came through and caused landslides that ran into houses, and it caused rivers to overflow and things like that. And it was a totally different story. It didn't affect me because I think I was in Tokyo at the time, but I remember driving through there, and there was damage. There was visible damage here and there because of the typhoon. So I think it all depends where you are. All right.
Mhm.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I guess, like I said, it's like you always assume the accident happens to, like in terms of like traffic accidents, you always assume it's happening to somebody else because it rarely happens to you. But when it happens to you, then it would have been good to be wearing your seatbelt. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
we put our
Yeah.
seatbelts on all the time. We should be, appropriately cautious when big weather's coming.
Yeah. Hey, we got a nice one from Impressive Audio. Wow, I really like the atmosphere of this stream. It feels kind of at home. Good, we are far away from each other. We would have some fun on the streets. Yeah, probably. You know, that's that's one of the things. I don't know if you've experienced living abroad, and I don't know if it's true about it in other countries, but because of the dynamic here between Japanese locals and the gaijins, even though many of us are from different countries, we all feel some affinity with each other.
Hmm.
Countries that are totally different from our own home countries, but we feel some connection because we're all gaijins, right here,
Yep.
and it sort of draws us together. So it's
You
really
know, yeah. So rephrasing what you just said. So, like in the States, I think it's not. I mean, it sort of depends who your circle is, but it's not that common to have opportunities to. Well, I guess in the States there are lots of foreigners, but in Japan, as you just said, so you know, just because this person's Australian, or we have Australians here and Americans and Germans, the shared gaijin-ness makes us sort of an instant international community.
yeah, yeah,
So living in Japan, I've met people from all over the world, and you're talking about possibly moving to Japan. That's one of the things that you will experience if you come to live in Japan is meeting people from all over the place.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's absolutely true.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really great. So
Yep.
welcome to the group here, Impressive Audio. And he gives his greetings to Schindler. And Schindler says, nice to be here on my lunch break. All righty, Roo. What's for lunch? I'm only worried about earthquakes. Bing bong. I can agree with you there. None so far that caused damage in my neighborhood, but typhoons are just rain and wind. Yeah, I was up in Tochigi for the big one, the big Tohoku earthquake, and I'll tell you what, that's one thing I would appreciate not having to go through again. That was.
Mhm.
I'm sure all of us have our stories here, but yeah. Carl, you were in Tokyo?
I was, and so
Mm.
you can only see the blur, but these books behind me, this is
Mm.
a very small room, and the door
Mm.
here.
Mm.
So actually, I was downtown Tokyo, and I didn't make it home until the next day. But when I came home, then all of these books were on the floor. So
Mm.
um,
Mm.
yeah, uh, I guess being in Tokyo, I was more concerned about radiation from Fukushima than I was, whether it was founded or not, in afterthought. But um, yeah, uh,
Yeah, at the
you
time,
know,
it was a real concern. Let's face it,
yeah.
right? Nobody knew what was
We,
going
we
on
we
with it.
didn't know anything about radiation because it never been a thing before. So
Right, right.
yeah.
My house in Tochigi, I was out of the house, and I went home and I opened the door, and it looked like some giant took the house and did this. I mean, it was just every room was in a total uproar. It
The the
was.
the James Bond house, shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, and I had I had I did a video. I videoed inside the house and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
somebody mentioned it on the anniversary of the earthquake. And I said, yeah, I'm going to repost that video. And I can't find it, which is really a waste because Yeah, it showed what we had. Not as nothing compared to what they had in the coastal areas, but still bad enough for me, right?
Yeah.
Impressive Audio says, let me extend my joke. We never would make it in time to the last train at night in Tokyo. You seem to be pretty knowledgeable about Japan, from some of the remarks that you're making about Roppongi and the last train. And you're absolutely correcto, right?
Oh, but if you got an extra $100, you can get home.
Yeah, there you
So,
go, laying around. Every gaijin in Japan has a story to tell, especially how she or she got here. Yep, you're right, Schindler. Everybody's got a story. And I don't think I don't say I don't think. I know a lot of gaijins, you know, almost came here accidentally and expected that they would spend a year or so just hanging
mhm.
out and seeing what it's like. And then all of a sudden you look around 10 years, 20 years later and say, well, how did that happen? Yeah.
Yeah. I've spoken to people who ended up in the States, and they told me the same story, and
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
I went back for a few years, specifically because I heard that story, and I didn't want to get stuck here. But
Yeah.
I'm back,
Yeah.
and I'm okay to be stuck now. So.
In that regard, I watched a YouTube video the other day. There's this couple, British couple, that traveled all around the United States. And they do a YouTube video, and it's not showing their travels. They sit there and discuss what they saw in these different areas in the United States and how they felt, and which area was most American, and which area was least American, and all this kind of stuff. But they were talking about what cities surprised them the most. And their report on what city surprised them the most really surprised me because it was Chicago. And they said it was so nice, much nicer than we expected. And
I thought
I
it was
was,
going to be a crappy place.
yeah, they really did. All their friends told them, don't go to Chicago. And they said they went and it was absolutely fabulous. So who knows,
So
what's
as
going on.
so um, to second that sentiment, as someone from Detroit, I feel like hanging out in downtown Detroit is not what people do from the suburbs do, but in Chicago, like there's you can go to blues bars, you can go to Wrigley Field, you know, uh, there's lots of things to do in the city of Chicago. Of course, there's some neighborhoods like Cabrini Green that you don't really want to go to, and the South Side. Oh my gosh, but but there are lots of places in downtown Chicago that are great places to go to. So,
Yeah, yeah,
as someone from
yeah.
Detroit, I looked up to Chicago as like a city that I aspired to live in, and I did.
Oh, no, that's cool. Well, the downtown Chicago Lakeshore Drive is one of the most beautiful place at night.
Hmm.
It's such a beautiful
Hmm.
place. Yeah.
Go up the Hancock Building, and then you could see
Yeah.
the shoreline. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I was online during Fukushima and never lost the internet connection. Lucky you, huh? Lucky you. I was, like I said, up in Tochigi, I stayed there like 2 days or 3 days, and we never had power turned back on. Never had telephones were not turned back on, and
So you lost
and
power and you lost the phone.
yeah, and then no water, nothing. Yeah, there was nothing,
Hmm.
and yeah, okay. I won't go into details. Everybody else lived through it. I hear you can meet people from all over the place in the big cities in Germany, people who you'd rather not meet. Hey, Dano's at it again. Okay. Shred Edwards said, I came to Japan because I wanted to marry my fiance. Great reason. Great reason. I came to Japan because I wanted to find my fiance. No, I'm not going to say that, but I came here, like I said, in the army and all curious and very wide-eyed, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed, and loved it the minute I stepped foot into it. Okay, I always stayed until the clubs closed in the morning and go have ramen for breakfast, and then the train of shame at home in Kunitachi. Kunitachi! I lived in Kunitachi. When was that? We might have run into each other. Kunitachi. Oh, I lived in
They have
Kunitachi.
they have very nice streets lined with ginkgo trees, right?
Cherry blossom trees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the cherry blossom trees are getting old, so it ain't what it used to be, right?
Okay.
You know, I mean, like they used to say,
But
the get up and go got up and went. You know.
but yeah, so the shime no ramen. So the after you've done your partying, then ramen. To be honest, health wise, because we were talking about health before, that's probably not the thing you should be doing.
Yeah,
But traditionally,
yeah,
ramen for the road. Is that how we would say it?
yeah. Ramen after drinking was good. I used to like to eat Big Mac after drinking, and I don't know what
Okay.
that was.
That,
Usually don't eat it, but after drinking, I would eat it. Right?
in Shimbashi, I have seen what I believe was ramen after drinking, and then they couldn't hold the ramen down. So I've
There's
seen the
that too.
aftermath.
There's that too. You know, I mean, you could, some guys you could follow them home. There's a little pile of puke next to every utility pole.
Oh
You
wait,
know.
who was having lunch? And probably shouldn't inflict this on. I think it was Schindler was having lunch. So let's
Oh, it
let's steer clear of that.
smells like Tanaka-san was here.
Yeah.
All right. I like to walk alone in the mountains, so now I fear I will finish my life in a bear turd. Yeah, you know they there was this big thing, Utsunomiya City, which is a relatively big
Yesterday.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a bear running around there. But in that story, I read why. You know, Japan used to, anything in the wild was fair game, so to speak, and was blown away. But they went on this ecological push over here, and they stopped hunting deer, and they stopped hunting bear, and they stopped hunting wild boar, and now all of them are a problem. And they said that article said that since they stopped hunting bear, the population has tripled. So that might be part of the problem.
I,
Okay.
I thought the story was that they like whatever funa. I don't know what that is in English, like sycamore trees or something like that. Whatever it is that the bear eat, they had very, I don't know, would you say poor crop? But
Yeah.
basically, there wasn't enough for the bears to eat, and that was the
Yeah.
problem. But I
Yeah.
guess if the population is not controlled, then I've also heard that there are fewer and fewer hunters, and the hunters are getting older
Yeah.
and older, just
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
nurses and so forth. So
Yeah.
all sorts of problems uh, overlapping each other, causing this
Maybe,
issue.
maybe they should degenderize the word hunter. Nah, I'm just being a smart aleck.
As a huntress or something.
Huntress, right?
Yeah.
Um, what was I going to say? Yeah, the article did mention about the climate change affecting the food supply of bears, but
Hmm.
it was in the same sentence as the tripling of the bear population.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
double whammy.
Yeah, not all stories are good though, especially for this poor American student found dead in Yamashina area in Kyoto. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Okay. I have no story except that I had to deal with being illiterate. Oh, okay. When
The
you were
story about
illiterate when
coming
you
to
came here.
Japan.
Yeah, when you
Mm.
came to Japan. Now, we were all illiterate. And I studied Japanese at Sophia University. It was really heavy with kanji. I was living in Kyushu for a number of years. Came to Tokyo, went to Sophia, studied kanji, went back to Kyushu to visit people, places I had been, many times in my life. It was like going in a different world, being able to read the signs. Like you said, illiteracy is a big handicap, isn't it?
Yes.
Why would I spend $100 on a taxi or something when I can spend 3 times the amount to keep us three alive in some yokocho until the morning? Yeah. Okay. Yokocho. There's a good one. So you've been here. Impressive Audio has been here. That's impressive audio. You never seem to impress me, Impressive Audio. You never cease to. Okay. Oh my God. Please excuse my typos. I meant ramen in the morning. We know what you meant. All of us.
Everybody gets a free pass on typos.
Yeah, typos. We are not spelling police here. The Chi-Town Bears are leaving, I heard. Yeah. Boy, that's quite a thing. Even Even the Democratic governor is bad-mouthing the Democratic mayor, who deserves to be bad-mouthed.
Where are the Bears going?
Hammond,
football team, right?
Indiana. Hammond, Indiana.
This is like next to Gary or something.
I guess it's not that far from Gary. Yeah.
So is it like a far Chicago suburb or something?
The Bears wanted to build a new stadium up in Arlington Heights. They
Sure.
bought a horse race track out there. Remember Arlington Heights used to have? They bought that, and the Bears wanted to build this stadium, and they didn't want public money.
Okay.
They were going to build it on
That's
their own. And
Mhm.
they got into a negotiation about revenue sharing. And the city, the Bears, and the governor of Illinois, J.D. Pritzker, who ought to go on a diet himself, said that claimed that the city of Chicago had no plan and no opinion, and they wouldn't. They were not negotiating in good faith. So Hammond says, "Yeah, we'll build you a stadium, or you can build your stadium here," and it works out that a stadium in Hammond, Indiana, is closer to Soldiers Field than a stadium in Arlington Heights would have been.
Okay.
So go figure.
According to the address, it's not a Chicago address, but most of the people, Chicago fans can still go there.
Yes, they'll still have a fan base. And
Okay.
I don't know if they're going to change the name. They still might call it Chicago Bears. I mean, it would be a
Chicago-ish Bears.
Yeah. They'll always be the Bears, you know. Okay.
Yeah.
Dano. Danger. We got Dano coming up here. Being from Johnstown, PA, I aspired to live in Detroit because of the good Motown music I could tune into on my cheap transistor radio late at night. Yeah. Those cheap transistor AM radios, they could pick up some faraway stations late at night, right?
Yeah.
Schindler pipes in. He says, I came to Japan to pursue my career goals in the Japanese automotive industry. 7 years in, I love it so far. Good for you. Good for you. I hope your career goals are working out. That's always important. Without So Adventure says, I lost 60 pounds. Let me get that up there. I lost 60 pounds back then. Dance all night and sleep most of the day and do it all over again. I think the ramen was the only thing I ever ate unless I was broke. Then ham and cabbage sandwiches. Okay. Yeah, living in Japan is good for your waistline, I think. You know, not only dancing all night and sleeping most of the day, but also there's all the walking you have to do upstairs, downstairs. Even though they've got a lot of escalators now, you can still opt for the stairway and keep that sterling slim bod sterling. Okay. Impressed about it. Nah, I never was in Japan, but you know a lot. But as an old school German, you do your pre-research to an extent that already feels like you're already migrated. Way to go, man. You know, I even though we didn't have the internet, I think I did the same thing. Probably Carl did too. He's that kind of guy. Carl's the kind of guy, let me look it up kind of guy. And
there was a book called, so we all remember, or we know the name Edwin O. Reischauer.
Sure.
The former ambassador
sure.
To Japan. And
sure.
Unlike most ambassadors, Reischauer had actually, I think he had grown up in Japan before World War II.
Yep.
Anyway, he had a book called The Japanese, and then he had a revised version called The Japanese Today. And my first deep dive into Japan was to read the book, and I'm like, oh, this sounds pretty cool. I think I want to go there. So, yes, I did my research before I came.
Yeah, actually, I said I studied at Sophia. I took a lot of Japanese history classes, and they were a cakewalk because I knew it all already because of all the books that I had read.
Because you had lived through it.
Yeah, and I by the way, I'm going to say something online that I don't mention to people often, but it's a little bit of a flex, a little bit of a boast. Are you ready?
Drum roll. Yeah.
When I was at Sophia, my Japanese teacher's husband used to run. I mean, he founded the All Japan Middle School English Oratorical Contest. And that is a big contest, even though you may not never heard of it. Among Japanese middle school students, it's really big. And they used to have these big get-togethers at his house. He used to have this massive house. They were rich people. But always the, what do they call it? It's not mentor, but they've got like a government sponsor of the imperial family. And this guy was Prince Takamatsu. Prince Takamatsu happens to be Emperor Hirohito's brother. And, I mean, we used to sit around and he was just a regular guy. And I found out in history, reading the history, he was against going to war against the United States. He opposed it. And, but of course, once Japan was in, I mean, he was like a Navy guy. And a lot of Navy guys were against going into the war with the Americans. And so he was the first guy, maybe the only guy I've ever met where in my Japanese history book, he had a entry in the index. So I always felt, and I smoked in those days. And one day I didn't have any cigarettes. And I don't have any cigarettes. And he gave me a pack of Imperial cigarettes, no tax stamp. And it had a chrysanthemum crest imprinted,
which is
in gold
for the Imperial House. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I told that to somebody one time and they says, "Oh, you have any?" And I smoked them, man.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my brag for
Just
the day. So I expect
Okay.
everybody to bow to me, except for Manga University. I expect everybody to bow to me from this day forward. Okay. I'm babbling now. And we're over 2.5 hours. Carl, are you okay? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not
Okay.
I'm not falling asleep because
All
I'm
right.
okay.
If you fall over, hit the mute button first. Okay, I made it to my favorite ramen shop. Time for some tonkatsu ramen. Itadakimasu. Hey, tonkatsu ramen. Sounds good.
Tonkotsu.
Tonkotsu. Gomenasai. Fukuoka style. I came here not knowing where it was. Hakata style, I should say. Just knew my fiance wanted to get married in Japan. Good for you, Shred Edward. That's what I used to hit clubs 3-4 times a week when I was stationed at Fuchu Air. Oh, you were at Fuchu, AFB, Air Force Base. The best one was Mugen in Akasaka. That's where that's a lot of where Tokyo Dano's gonna pop in there because he knows Mugen, featuring the best bands from the USA. But that was in the early 70s. You might have known. You might have met Tokyo Dan. Tokyo Dan used to hang out there. I'll let him tell his own story. Shredder says the emperor thing is what I don't understand, but I'm American, so their deference is amusing. Well, yeah, any kind of royal system, imperial system is interesting. Okay. I'm heading out for the shopping and a burger at the McDonald's up the street. Tokyo Daniel says, catch y'all later. He missed it. I had a good day seeing Carl's face again. Okay, Carl missed the Mugen remark. I'm sure he'll comment on it later. He talks about Mugen. Impressive. Any advice, hints about old guy like me, 49, to learn Japanese? Any idea what works the best? We spoke about it. We are not that young anymore. Carl, take it.
Well, I guess so I think you need a balance between studying from some sort of text, like studying organized, and then like actually using it. So if you do one without the other, you're not going to make a lot of progress. I can't say that this is different for somebody who's 49 versus somebody who's 29, but I think you need a balance of both. And I guess it really depends on what your ultimate goal is. Do you want to be fluent? I learned it in my early 20s, so I can't say what it would be like to start at 49. But yeah, depending on what your ultimate goal is, if your ultimate goal is to be really good at Japanese, including like being able to talk to your Japanese doctor about your medical stuff, I think mastering kanji is important, but it's a huge investment, and I wouldn't say that it's for everybody. It sounds like you're already successful, and I would if it was me, I would prioritize my business / my career over like just putting all your time into mastering Japanese.
Yeah. And
what about you, Ed?
I
Just go to Sophia?
You could get so far on self-study, but most of the successful people I've seen who learn Japanese went to some kind of formal schooling or training or whatever you want to call it. Not necessarily Sophia, not necessarily ICU, International Christian University. The university route is one way, but I don't know if it's feasible, if they'll let you take just in language course. There are a lot of language schools and language teaching services in Japan. So I would suggest, and then how long it's going to take, it's entirely up to you, how much time you want to spend. Carl spends a lot of time researching and studying and trying to learn and remember new kanji and things like that, which is impressive. I don't anymore because, I basically don't work anymore. So I'm not into acquiring new Japanese knowledge, but I have enough that I can do fine. But yeah, if I were you, I'd take lessons, and you could do them from Germany, I guess, online. What do you think, Carl?
There are what is it? Hang on a second, let me find it. Okay, so there's a platform that I sometimes use called Japa Talk. It sounds somewhat not really rich. Anyway, Japa Talk, and you can get lessons for. Yeah, right. You can get lessons for, it's like 25-minute lessons, and they're as cheap as like 2 or 3 euros for a lesson. And then you can select from all sorts of instructors, and you can try to get lessons with the same instructor. And it's a lot of them are focused on free talk, and it's maybe more advanced students, but there are plenty of teachers who are happy to teach to beginners as well, and choose somebody you like and have a bunch of lessons, or take a couple of teachers. It's really quite inexpensive, and at the end of the day, it's what you put into it. So
yeah, it's all up to you. Yeah, but
I was going to say, I first started learning Japanese a little bit before I came. I started learning when I was in Chicago, but you're going to have so much less opportunity for practice, and it's not going to be connected to your life. So I think coming here, studying, and using is probably the best way to improve.
Yeah. Let's go through some comments.
Actually, so one warning. So, if you come to Japan, say you come to a Japanese language school, you would come, it's probably pretty straightforward to get a visa to study at a Japanese language school. But if you're a Japanese language school student, they are pretty strict about, like, you have to go, you can't like blow it off. And then there may be restrictions as to whether you're allowed to work. And even if you have your business back in Germany, you'd want to double check to say, well, am I allowed to keep doing my business that I have in Germany while I'm here as a student? And they might say, well, we want our cut on your taxes. So you want to, double check to make sure that they're not going to be upset with anything. Now, probably if you came as a tourist visa, on a tourist visa, then probably they're not going to complain about that. But again, that's something that you would want to check with immigration if you're here for a long period of time or not.
Yeah, get your immigration ducks in a row, because they're getting very strict these days. And if you screw up with immigration, they sound like they're going to start getting pretty brutal. Whether they actually will or not, God only knows. Okay. Udatsu Adventures. Honestly, the young people of Japan don't understand the emperor thing anymore either. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they don't care about it that much, do they? I've started learning Japanese pretty late, and I had a lot of catch up to do. My suggestion is to get a tutor, good tutor, preferably a native speaker. Get yourself a girlfriend. No, I'm just joking, of course. But yeah, good
Officially,
tutor helps.
yes.
Yeah, officially. Yeah.
The old expression was dictionary with arms and legs, right?
There you go. Ikijibiki. You know that one?
Uh, Sounds like the same thing. Living dictionary.
Yeah, there you go. All right. That was a popular word when I first got here. Ikijibiki, right? Often used, not so much these days. Yeah, I heard that, like even Japanese people need 20 years to be at the top edge through school. 20 years. Oh boy, I am not even sure I will be alive in 20 years.
Join the
Yeah,
club.
I mean, at your age and the fact that you weren't educated in Japan from a young age, you can't expect total fluency, I don't think. I used to see, like at Sophia University, I went to the international division, and there were young people going through at the same time, and their parents had sent them. They were Japanese people. Their parents had sent them to American school, hoping that they would be bilingual. And they were, I mean, spoken. They were really good speakers of Japanese and English, native level English, but their reading was not very good because their reading and writing, because kanji, like Carl said, it's a time investment. Whether it's worth it, that's a decision you'll have to make, because it's a big one.
As you said, if you only, let's just make up a number. If you have only 20 years left, do you want to spend one of those 20 years on Japanese, and then you only have 19 years left for everything else? But it's an adventure, right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. To be honest, I feel kind of envious of all university folks. Sadly, I miss that part of my life. Yeah, I was able to go thanks to the United States military, United States government. I went under the GI Bill, which was really good. Yeah. Otherwise, you have to be rich, I guess. Carl, you got a rich father or what?
I did. Well, yeah, that's a story for offline.
Yeah, bad question. Sorry about that. Let's go on. Let's move right along. Maybe I just marry a nice Japanese woman who can translate. I can also be the one native employee I need. Ha ha. There you go. Now there's a plan. Sounds like a man with a plan. All right. What's the name again?
So Japa Talk.
Japa
I don't know if
Talk.
people can see JAPATALK. Yeah. I get a 20% commission. No, I don't get a commission, but I've been using them for 8 years or something. Like sometimes I take multiple lessons a week, and sometimes I don't take a lesson in a month. But I mean, I feel a little bit guilty that it's so inexpensive, and in general, the teachers are very conscientious. And like I said, you can choose. So like that looks like an interesting instructor, or that doesn't look so interesting. So you can choose who you have for your lessons. So like I said, I highly recommend it.
Okay, Carl, you ended up in the private chat, so I moved it over to the
Okay, yeah,
full
sure.
chat. Okay, all right. You know about the name Japa Talk. If you don't mind, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent, even though we're going on 3 hours here. Carl, I'm
okay.
And if you're not, yell.
Sure.
But don't kill yourself, because it would be a real bummer trying to find another co-host. So don't do anything drastic.
I'm here for the duration. Yeah.
So I got a comment on one of my videos that was so weird. Somebody was, ranting on about something or another, and then at the end they say, "By the way, do you have any communication with the guy who runs the Japan channel named Exjapter, EXJAPTER? Do you know that?
That's yours, right?
No. I'm GAIJIN 50, but this guy's Exjapter. Maybe you know.
Oh yeah. Okay, so he always walks around.
Yeah, he walks around with a camera in his hand. But
he seems like a level-headed guy.
Yeah, this person sent me this thing and said, "Do you have any communication with him? you got to tell him his channel name is racist and he needs to change it. And I thought, what? Go away, leave me alone. People see three letters lined up and they say, oh, it's racist. Like what, Japatalk or whatever you said,
Well, that's run by Japanese people,
Yeah,
or a
yeah,
Japanese
yeah.
person. I don't think the person intends it to be
Yeah.
racist. Oops. Oh, it's me. It's just me. Yeah, anyway, Japa Talk. There are lots of nice instructors on there, and it's super cheap or very reasonable. So be nice to your instructors. But yeah, if you try it out, report back and tell us how it went.
Did I disappear?
You disappeared, and I filled in for a minute
Thank
while you
you.
were away.
Thank you. I was sitting here and my thing went brrrr and quit.
1 minute I was sitting here, the next minute I wasn't. No.
Yeah. Maybe that combination of three letters is a trigger, Who knows?
I don't understand what's racist about exchapter.
Three letters, JAP. They say JAP and they say,
Oh, another word that has the three letters JAP, Japan.
yeah, no kidding. Or like the meme I saw the other day. I spent all these years and I never realized that Saturday includes the word turd. Same kind of thing, right?
Okay.
GAIJIN 50 plus.
Yes.
Information
Okay.
you can use. Okay. When I'm staying, then I will create a Japanese company. The 30 million yen are no problem. Okay. All right.
You could
Then
hire
you'll be
me.
okay. Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. And you could be his, it doesn't have to be a Japanese national. It can be a permanent resident holder.
I have the required Japanese language skills.
Hire me.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Righty boo. An important notice: if you want to enroll in the Japanese language school, you need to have JLPT N5 or equivalent. Immigration agency has tightened the rules for student visas. Good point, Schindler. I remember seeing that, forgot all about it. So since we're giving this young man information,
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah. Yeah. They changed
no more absolute beginners.
That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like.
Wow. Well, and I guess N5, I want to say it's like basically like 100 hours of studying or something like that. So it's it's not like a huge hurdle, but that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I want to look into. I'm gonna screenshot that, and I'm gonna look into this. This is very interesting. Like I said about 3 times already.
Yeah, because I guess that was one of the things that was being abused. People would come in here with zero Japanese, get a student visa, start working, blah 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 blah. Okay. And Schindler says, I have an important addition. I do have a bachelor's degree, but it has nothing to do with the Japanese language. Okie dokie. Japatalk, okay. And
It's me again. I think this online platform is telling us something. Like maybe you guys should cut it off soon. But we'll be back again on Saturday. I'm sure that Ed will come back shortly. But yeah. You look so surprised.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
I can't hear you.
Maybe somebody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I'm going to restart.
Okay. Blah, 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 blah. It's me again. So when I was back in the States, I rode around a lot in Tesla. This is completely unrelated to anything we've been talking about. But the Tesla, as you know, has full self-driving. And I was shocked that basically it could go everywhere from your driveway to the parking lot of whatever store you were going to. Tesla would drive the whole way by itself, stopping at traffic lights, turning left, turning right, avoiding pedestrians. I was legitimately shocked. So that was one of the things that I experienced when I was back in the States this time. So
By the
we
way,
haven't talked about that yet, Ed. Yeah, go ahead.
by the way, just yesterday I was in a car going down the street, and
Hmm.
it was stopped in traffic, as you often are in Tokyo. And right next to us was a Tesla taxi.
Okay.
First time I ever seen anything like that. Yeah,
Was there
a
somebody
Tesla.
driving it?
Yeah, yeah. It was a so-called GAIJIN taxi,
Okay.
a private taxi. So yeah, but it didn't
Because
look like.
now they have in the States they have Teslas that drive themselves too, right?
Yeah,
As robo
yeah,
taxis.
yeah. Okay, we better. This. Go ahead.
Maybe it's telling us it's closing in on
Yeah,
3 hours. It's time to move on, boys.
I was thinking Carl's got a kill switch over there, and he was getting tired and kept hitting the
No,
kill switch. No, okay.
maybe my
Let's
wife does. I don't know.
Okay, let's go with very little commentary about the remaining comments, and we'll just wrap it up. Carl, about the app, I get a 20% commission on an app where one meeting costs me $3. You may rethink that one and raise it to 60%. Okay.
No. I don't get a commission.
All right. I use Preply for my kids' tutors. Preply. I don't know what that is.
Preply.
Preply. Okay.
Preply is quite well-known online language tutoring.
Okay. If it weren't for the GI Bill, Ed would have ended up like Beetle Bailey. Most probably, yeah. I'd have been cleaning latrines for the rest of my life. No kidding. Okay. Yep, you have to learn how to speak Japanese to go learn Japanese. Bing bong. I can hear you both. Okay, I think we're all right now. Tesla is a technology company, not a car company. This is why you get all the latest and greatest software features, including the autonomous driving. The build quality becomes optional, though. Okay. All right, let's wrap it up since we're going into technical difficulties. 3 hours. Way to go, Carl. You feel like you just ran a marathon?
I think
Okay.
this is much easier than running a marathon, actually.
Yeah, just a bit. Okay,
I
everybody.
think people laugh less when they're running a marathon. They're like,
Yeah. Well, that's the old joke, people say, "Why are you running a marathon?" And they say, "Oh, because it makes me feel good." And they say, "What are you talking about? Marathon doesn't make you feel." He says, "Yeah, when I stop, it does."
there you go.
Okay, Hannah Dad, thank you. It's been a pleasure to see you. Schindler, hope you have a nice lunch. Udatsu Adventures, Mitsubishi, computers, because it has 3 that I wanted to be made. Okay. So, everybody, thank you for coming. Carl and I think Carl will be here if his sleep schedule gets in shape. We'll be here next
Yep.
Saturday. This is 8 o'clock Japan time, which is early in the morning in North America. If you can make
Is
it,
it
we'd
8
like
or
to see
7?
you. 7 o'clock. That's what I said,
Okay.
didn't I?
Yeah.
It was 8. We changed to 7, and I keep saying 8. All right. It's 7 o'clock,
Yep.
7 p.m. Japan time. And if you can make it, good. If not, we'll be back here. At least I'll be back here. Carl and I will talk about whether he'll be back here on Wednesday. Okay, everybody? Thank you for coming. Have a nice
Okay.
day. And we'll see
Great to see
you
you
in the
guys.
next one.